listening
Coffee
on.
in Tow is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real time news updates, in depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House. Catch my breath, catch my breath. Good morning, fan base family. Good morning, internet radio. Good morning, YouTube. How is everyone doing? Morning, AT. It's like 6:30 for AT. 6:30 over there. Um, we appreciate AT for coming in so early in the morning. We love you. We thank you. RoSolo! See, let me not wake AT up too much. Let me stop the shouting. RoSolo, good morning.
Hey, shouting. Hey, shouting. Good morning.
Why you
Good morning.
why you shouting? Why you shouting?
Excuse me. You're crazy. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. What day? What day is it now? Wednesday?
So that's
God. It's
something.
Tuesday or
It's
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's actually hold on, let me check the calendar.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
Wednesday.
19th. It's Wednesday. Okay. Whew. This month is this month is like a year again. So
Listen. What year are we in now?
yeah. So fast. Feel like we're in 2028. God no. Jano. It's
Man, I tell you, I'm
every
tired.
morning. Every morning, them give us something new to contemplate. Boy, I tell you, these.
You know what's
Oh
funny,
boy.
Rosolo? Have you ever fired somebody and regretted that you fired them and then you have to hurry up and try to rehire them? And that seems to be the
No,
running
never in
theme.
management.
Yeah, this is
No, but never in my. I was a manager for what? Well, hold me tell my age. 20 plus years.
girl, we
Never.
young. We still young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never fired anyone. Anyone. So I've never. I'm sorry, mom. I've never. When I fire you, you fired yourself. I don't take bread off of nobody's table purposely. So this is craziness. You fire the people, and now you want the people to come back. You in an interview with your little bit, your new boo, and and your stepson, and your stepson, and it's just you're just like, oh, he's I don't know what Kool-Aid Alanya gave him to drink, but
It's
he has
real good.
drank the yeah, he has drank the must Kool-Aid, and he is just deep in. He there's no out. We have planes falling out the sky. People are saying, "Oh well, but this one's skidded, so it's different." It's not different.
He drank the Muscade. He drank the Muscade, Rosolo. We need to
But
bottle
yes,
that and sell it, right?
yeah,
Muscade.
but at least we can laugh about it because we know
And what else if
this
I
is
do?
we're fiddle
What
because
if I
if
do?
you voted, all I have to say is to the seven whatever point million people who voted him, you voted him in.
Mhm.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
I mean,
Although we're good. Although we're
plain
can I say
spot.
oh, we're not on YouTube. We're on
Yeah,
YouTube?
we everywhere live. We
Oh,
everywhere. We
yeah. I didn't
YouTubing.
tell it.
We
Yeah, we're YouTubing, so I'll behave. I'll behave. Stay less. I
listen.
was gonna say
Ross,
something.
let me
I'll
tell you
stay
something.
less.
So yesterday, before the
Mm,
rain tumbled down, I went out on the back patio
that
and
was a
a
beautiful
plane.
background.
The plane is going by, and this
Mm-hmm.
plane look extra low. Because we live in a flight path. So you look up and you're looking under the belly of these planes. And I'm like, hold on a damn second, please, just keep it moving. The farmland is further west. Just keep going west. Keep going west. Anything you do not do it over 5 miles. Just keep going. The plane was really low. And I was on the phone with Marlon. So unfortunately, I opened up to the phone to video it, but of course I couldn't take the video while I was on the call. But I was like,
Right.
wait, hold on a second. Looks like I need to put up a plane cam
But here,
on the back patio and just have,
I
that's not
think,
a bad
yeah.
idea. Have people
Well,
watch the planes go by live. Because a plane a minute. A plane a minute passes overhead.
yeah, but the plane's past low. So the thing is, we're all gonna be paranoid now when we see a plane flying above us. Everybody will go paranoid,
Yeah.
of course, because they're falling off the sky like rain. So of course everybody's gonna be paranoid
That's not the kind of rain
because
we
it's
need.
every day. But exactly, we don't need plain rain.
We don't need plane rain. And you're laughing. We're laughing, but it's a serious matter. And then
Yeah, serious
I'm
matter.
but here's the thing, Ro. I'm accustomed to hearing planes. Okay, and I know I'm gonna sound real ignorant. I'm not gonna say what a country girl I come from. But I am so accustomed to hearing the planes draw brakes over our house, because once they cross over the
But the
house,
airport is so close. Yes.
they turn, they make that turn to head back east to go to Miami International Airport. And every
Yeah.
time now since the plane them are rain, nowadays I am like, please just keep it moving. No draw brakes and stop yourself. Just keep going.
Uh,
The paranoia is real. The
I'm
paranoia is
telling
real.
you. Because listen, I call this along with everything else my traveling year because I have two weddings. I told you
Yeah.
two weddings, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'm going to the 50th birthday, and I want to go to Europe for the first time. But right about now,
Mm-mm, mm-mm. You're up now. Mm-mm. Where you there, Ro? What happened to RoSolo?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. It's me. I'm back.
Okay.
Foreign. Sorry, foreign. In
No,
the
no.
beginning, I said no. I'm not gonna fear flying. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly. Come on, go Jamaica. Come on. Listen to me right now. If I can't drive, you won't see me. It's gonna take a lot. Okay. And the thing is, maybe I'm going to say I want to go to St. Lucia, and it's really hard buying that ticket.
It is hard.
It's really hard, but I have to trust God. I do have to trust because I can't not go anywhere. This is my travel year. I said it's gonna be, and Musk and the two boos, the
Which
Bobby twins,
which
they
one?
can
Which one? Which one?
Trumpy and Elania.
Oh, because there's no Vance in the picture, I'll tell you that much.
No, that you know because them on see I'm watching them now. Trump and Musk on the economic disaster left behind by the Biden.
What economic disaster?
Oh boy,
Oh, by the way, while he has his eyes set on Fort Knox, the gold. Listen, but an audit needs to be done. So somebody
listen,
reached out to Muskie and said to Muskie, "Hey, an audit hasn't been done since 1970. How long? We need an audit done." And Muskie said,
well,
"What? Go Fort Knox? No audit, no do."
yeah,
Boo! Muskie clap
yeah,
him
we
hand,
get that
rub them
door.
together, and said, "Time to do an audit." And you know what? We're gonna do the audit live. Now, how can I trust that the live is a real live? Because Muskie can say, "We could take out some, and then we go in and show them say yes, some missing." How do we know?
Well,
How do we know how much gold is supposed to be in Fort Knox?
we won't know. That just let's just deal with that from now.
By
Answer
the
the
way,
question and then move on. We won't know.
RoSolo, who the gold belong to? America or Haiti? That's another question. Does
That's
Haiti
what I'm
is
talking.
some of Haiti's
And I
gold
really,
in Fort Knox?
you know what I hope? I hope it's Haiti.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's Haiti. I'm sure it's Haiti because we try to deprive them of
Mm.
everything they have. So, but
Mm.
you see, I'm going on and on today, and normally I'm so
Yeah,
quiet
you
when it
know
comes to
what?
all of this, but it's in the spirit
It's in
because
the
this
spirit.
is ridiculous.
It's in
But
the
and it's
spirit.
the 19th of
February.
February.
Chapter 2. No. Yeah, chapter 2, book 19,
It's just a month.
paragraph
It's
19.
not even a month yet. Tomorrow is a month.
Girl, we start.
And 2025, I feel like we done spent 5 years in it already.
We did. Miss gray hair all over me.
But don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. I still don't worry. I watch. I'm gonna start watching The Simpsons to watch all their predictions.
Listen, listen.
I'm gonna know if them predict something about 2025 with what the guy call him on. There's a guy on TikTok we call him Wig. Mensa week.
Who is
Mensa
that?
week. Can you
I
see
don't even
this
know what we
Mensa
can and cannot say. Oh,
so
there is so
Mensa
much going on.
week.
But Guanta, there is so much going on because I saw something else that has me flabbergasted in the words of Ja Frackle Knackle. But you go ahead, Rosolo.
You know what? No, I forget short-term memory, right?
It's just so much Frackle Knackle going on. It's
Javette.
unbelievable.
Morning, Javette. Morning, Ja. Let's say your thing. Say your thing. Moment. Ja.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, you sound
Yes,
great.
yes, the fracking is real. The fracking is real. Some of that gold may belong to Africa too.
Oh, of
You
course.
think?
Undeniably. Of course. There's no doubt about that.
USDA says it accidentally fired officials working on bird flu and is trying to rehire them.
You know how ridiculous that is? Whenever a company decides that they're going to do layoff, right? They get a folder of everybody, right? This is what is supposed to be done, right? Then you go through and see your needs and your wants. But obviously, that's not what's being done. They just picking names out the hat and just firing them. That's it.
Is there any method to the
And now you
madness?
kind of want to, and now you kind of want them back. You think? You think?
Is there any method to the madness?
Well, Trump
Absolutely.
said that Elon is the brightest man he knows. He's smart. He's so intelligent. People don't know that he's so smart. He's so smart.
He has a
And so the
high
gentleman said
IQ.
he has a high IQ too. So,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. No, get it out. Get it out.
No, I
Get it out.
mean,
You need to get
it's
started.
the best time to be alive. What can I say? If you're dead, dead people know I miss out on a lot.
No, they're
You
not
not
having no fun.
born
They're
yet,
never
you're
having
missing
fun.
out on a lot. It's a lot of entertainment. What can I say?
Well, you must remember, and this is what I try to tell people, Trump is a reality TV star. Just move with that. Everything he does is for entertainment. He has no idea what it means to be president of the United States. He's
No,
just following along
RoSolo.
whatever
No,
makes
no,
you
no.
popular.
All he wanted to do, he got what he wanted. It was Musk's job to pump the money to keep him out of jail because that was all he was concerned with,
Yeah.
staying
Mhm.
out of jail.
And
That
the
was
deal
it.
with Muskie is you'll be my right hand man. And so he is. Where is JD Vance? Anybody gonna follow missing people persons report?
I've been asking. Oh no, I tell myself, oh no, keep asking me. Why am I concerned? Why are y'all concerned about JD Vance? I am concerned about
Because
L'Oreal.
you know what? Come and watch Scandal. That's why. Come and watch Scandal and see what people can do.
So
Where's JD Vance?
listen to this BS right now. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. But I have to listen. I have to listen to this foolishness with me.
Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the president or the attorney general can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
You hear this BS? So, Trump has signed an executive order claiming that only the president can speak for what the law is. We have entered the dictatorship segment of the handbook. This is what 70 something million voted for allegedly. RoSolo, you hear that?
Allegedly. You
Yeah.
said the right word. Allegedly.
Mhm.
I heard it.
Mhm.
Listen to me. I mean, I let Trump, because in my best year, I mean, I let him stress me out. You know. God no.
Also,
He can go on with entertainment. Go on with your
10,000
entertainment.
story in our one, RoSolo, because now
Get
Airbnb
10,000.
co-founder Joe Jabia has joined the Doge team. So of course now there is a call to boycott Airbnb. They gonna see Airbnb tumbling right down.
Right?
Also,
I know that before this weekend. I just give enough money in the Airbnb.
also there is another story circulating. Ja, don't laugh. Let me tell you something. It's all gonna come
What are you
crumbling
laughing
down.
about?
There's another article. Oh my gosh, it's with another company. Oh, Target. So apparently, the owner of Target, his daughters are pushing back, saying that he needs to reinstate the EI. Long story short, money them I lose. So in the space of 1 month, Target lost some $15 billion in revenue.
Because Target underestimated the value of the black dollar.
We need hand clapping for that one. Where's the hand clap and the cigar smoke and the yes.
Underestimated the value of the brown dollar.
Mhm,
We shop at Target, not them.
mhm.
Sorry, I don't mean to say them. No, no. You underestimated the value of the brown dollar. You underestimated what would happen when you took products from Tabitha and all these other brown-owned companies off your shelves.
Mhm.
You under see that was the was it FAFO moment?
FAFO
That was
moment.
that was the FAFO moment for Target. Good for you, Target. How you doing? Yeah, you better re-implement it. Go back and sit down at that table this morning. I know y'all are sweating because it's gonna get worse.
So, but here's what I'm not understanding, RoSolo. And it pains my heart because the more you listen to the rhetoric.
So Donald Trump just signed an executive order that solely gives him and his attorney general the authority to determine what the rule of law is. This is according to his White House Secretary Will Scharf, who at their latest press conference at Mar-a-Lago announced that Trump signed an order that, quote, establishes the long-standing norm that only the president or the attorney general can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is. In other words, forget what the U.S. Penal Code or the courts or the Constitution says. Apparently, after this executive order, it is only Donald Trump or Pam Bondi, the attorney general whom he himself appointed, who has that authority. Guys, this is what a constitutional crisis looks like. This executive order is blatantly unconstitutional, and it should be challenged in court immediately, because that is not what we do in America.
So you know what? Here's what I'm gonna say, RoSolo, and then we're gonna start the article, starting off in the Caribbean corner. I'm gonna say this executive order, and from my understanding, I remember when Biden was in office, and the conversation about executive orders came up. Look at them as band-aids that can be ripped off, right? So just as he was busy signing executive orders to repeal certain things and to put certain things in place, let us just hold the faith and pray that in 4 years, when he's replaced by the Democrats, there'll be a ripping away as well.
The demo who? Where are they?
She wanted to say we don't even need to put a title on it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even need to say what party. Just that he is gone and he can't be back anymore as far as a president is concerned. You may see him wanting to run for mayor or something in Miami, you know.
Okay. Stop. Draw the line. You can have him over there in Texas. I don't know where we're headed, but so much that, and that's that. You know what? Yeah.
But he's doing everything we thought he would do. There's only one thing left for him to do in this scene.
What's
Because
that?
he doesn't want to leave office. He
So,
wants a true dictatorship.
so do we have any
So
laws in this country anymore?
when he finishes, no, but like you said, you mentioned a group of people. I don't know. I haven't seen them since January 20th, along with JD Vance. They're all in some little secret private island hiding. I would love to know where they are.
Where's the rest? No, seriously, where's Congress? Where's
Where who?
everybody? Where's everybody? Nobody
This
on
is
the
a free for
Republican
all.
side knows something wrong with this, with what's going on. Everybody's complicit with what's going on.
Money rules the world.
Have they all been
Money
locked
rules.
away in a basement somewhere?
No, they're right there in their homes, having their Starbucks and enjoying themselves and watching the crap show that we're watching. But they just do it from, penthouses and mansions. It's quite different. Not worrying about how they're going to feed their family or, how they're going to pay rent or, anything. we're not worrying at all because money is power, and they feel they all have power right
All right.
now.
Let's go.
But I can't. I can't. Must take the power from them too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chevin.
So I was actually watching the news this morning for the first time in a long time. And there was this lady on it, and she was having a FAFO moment, FAFO, FAFO. And she said she voted for him 3 times, right? And she's afraid for her life now because he let go all of the January 6th people. The insurrectionists, right? And she's afraid that she's going to come home one day and one of them is going to be on her doorstep. But here's the interesting thing about the story. So far, since they have let go some of those people, because she is upset because Trump said that he wasn't going to pardon the ones that had serious criminal records, which he still did. So far, one of them have been unalived by the Popo.
Yes, I saw that one.
Okay. Another one has been accused of SA. Okay. And we can just keep going down the line with some of these people that he has released. And she's just having a FAFO moment because she's afraid. And she says she voted for him 3 times and she just doesn't understand it.
She doesn't understand it. I don't know what to tell her. I don't know what to tell. What do we say to her? Huh?
Hopefully she lives in a state where she can carry.
So let me play this video and then we'll get started with the articles of the Caribbean Corner.
You would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer,
Sure.
right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned, DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a DC police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. No, I am the friend of police.
More than
more than any president that's ever been in this office.
One of the most searing images, the most brutal assaults, was against Officer Daniel Hodges. You can't forget the disturbing way he was attacked. And as he was being attacked, one rider ripped off Officer Hodges' gas mask. Another hit him in the head with his own baton. One tried to gouge one of his eyes out. And it was Patrick McCaughey that you can see here who pinned him in that Capitol doorway and assaulted him with a police shield. A judge sentenced him to 7.5 years in prison for his role in that attack. But tonight, he is free. His mom tells the Connecticut Insider he's on his way home. Are you worried that Trump's pardon of people like Patrick encourages them to do this again?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it, right? If people know that there are not going to be any consequences for their actions, particularly their crimes, and they would like to further a certain agenda with extreme violence, then all they have to know is that they've got a wink and a nod from a man in office who doesn't have any integrity, and they're good to go, right?
Trump says he's the friend of the police. Do you think that's true?
Trump says a lot of things. Sometimes lies are more reliable than truth. And I have not had any experience that would suggest he is a friend of the police. I think what he's a friend of is anyone who elevates his position.
You would agree that it's never acceptable.
There you have it.
What do you mean lies are more reliable than the
He
truth?
lies all the time.
Lies are more reliable than the truth. I gotta think about that one.
Because he lies all the time. So you can rely on him telling a lie.
You know, the funny thing is, anytime I hear him start to speak, I go blank. It's like, wah, 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 wah. because he's one of the most uneducated people I've heard in office. Well, he is probably the most. And I don't have any. I'd rather him just let Musk speak, because he's on a gummy and at least he makes some sense.
RoSolo, I don't know. All right. Let's go ahead and get the news article started. And of course, as always, we start in the Caribbean corner. First order of business, Bahamas Prime Minister says CARICOM will not get involved in US and China spat. This article courtesy of CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. And once again, I want to say thank you to everyone listening online, QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio.com, MadMusicHouse.com. Thank you to everyone watching on YouTube Live. And thank you to everyone right here with me on Fanbase. Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis stated yesterday that Caribbean nations will not, N-O-T in all capital letters, get involved in the ongoing geopolitical tensions between the United States and China over influence in the region. His remarks came in response to a letter from several members of the U.S. Congress to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, urging the U.S. to send a high-level delegation to the 48th regular meeting of the heads of government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. The letter highlighted the region's strategic importance for U.S. security and economic interests and expressed concerns about China's growing influence in the area. Davis emphasized that CARICOM will maintain its stance of non-alignment on such geopolitical issues. And I agree with that. Now get what I'm have a saying, what we saying at Jamaica, cockroach no business in a foul fight. Mm-hmm. Stay out of it. I strongly agree. Do not bend, do not take sides. Be neutral in all of this. Now get yourself entangled, in the words of Jada.
That is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, it's not a funny thing, yeah, man. I'm not blame them. Stay out of passa. One epa passa. Stay out of it. All right. I totally agree. All right. We head on over to Guyana for our next article. The Guyana military is saying 6 soldiers were injured in an attack on the Venezuelan border. Article courtesy of Caribbean.news.com. Officials say 6 soldiers in Guyana were injured after armed men in neighboring Venezuela opened fire in an attack expected to further heighten tensions between the two South American countries. 2 of the soldiers are in critical condition following Monday's attack, according to the head of Guyana's army. The soldiers were on a resupply mission along the Cuyuni River when they were confronted by armed men positioned on the Venezuelan side of the riverbank, according to officials. There was an exchange of fire, but it was not clear if any of the attackers were injured or killed. That's according to Guyana's Defense Force. The force remains committed to protecting its borders and will take all necessary measures to address any threats to national security. In a statement on Tuesday, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Hill accused his Guyanese counterpart, Hugh Hilton Todd, of spreading a false, hostile, and malicious narrative about an alleged attack against Guyanese troops. Hey, this is that thing they call oil? Not oil. I'm being a real country person now in Jamaica. That thing called oil. O-I-L. Oil. It is going to cost people their lives. And just to remind everybody, the issue, folks listening might be saying, okay, so what's the deal with Venezuela and Guyana? Well, right now, there is an issue in the courts as it pertains to land in a particular region called the Essequibo region. According to Venezuela, to Guyana, which falls in the Essequibo region, and this region is rich in oil. According to Venezuela, this part of Guyana, the Essequibo region, belongs to them, right? So Venezuela claims that an 1890s Boundaries Commission had cheated them out of the mineral-rich Essequibo region, right? And of course, as I said, that part represents 2/3 of the Guyana territory. That's a whole lot of land. That's a whole lot of region. And that is where they have a lot of offshore oil deposits. Well, right now, Guyana is the hot girl. She is the new thing on the block. She come with her BBL and her 30-inch bust down, skin clean. Yeah, she is the girl everybody wants. So Venezuela is saying, whoa, 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 whoa. I am the original hot girl on the block in South America. Me can't make Ghana come take my spot. So now there is a rift. But at the end of the day, we have Britain to thank for this because they did not establish clear boundaries. But anyway, based on some research that has been done, it seems as though the region may belong to Venezuela. We're not 100% sure. But let it play out in the courts. I don't want to see any unrest in the area, especially with the U.S. interested, because the U.S., or I should say, there are oil refineries that are owned by U.S. companies, ExxonMobil. You have Hess there as well. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had an article that came up. Now, I think it's either between Caribbean National Weekly or loopnews.com, where the U.S., they have made arrangements to put military in Trinidad because of the proximity when they talk about Trinidad and Guyana. All right. Trinidad is just a canoe ride away from South America. And South America is where Guyana is. Yeah, may I tell you now. And of course, you know, so anywhere oil there, anywhere resources there, guess who are going to come and show up to help defend the thing because they want a piece of the pie? The US. What we don't want is any military issues. We don't want any wars. We just don't want any of that. Please, Guyana and Venezuela, let this play out in the courts. All right, that's all I'm gonna ask. Thank you. We're done. That was geography and history. Buckle up in our one. Did I miss anything, Jack?
Aren't you tired of people fighting over land?
What am I going to
I'm tired of it.
Land that they're going to die and leave behind.
I am tired of it. And yes, blaming the king. Where Adesoji at? Yeah, we blaming them. We blaming them.
You know, there's so much that Britain has done, or the United Kingdom has done, and yeah. Let me just leave that there. All right, next up, let's hop on over to Haiti for our next article. According to the Associated Press, police in Haiti named former senator among suspects facing arrest over deadly gang attacks. So this article is saying authorities in Haiti have issued more than a dozen arrest warrants against suspects accused of backing gang members that have been attacking a peaceful community near the capital for the past 3 weeks. Dozens of people have been killed in Kenskoff this month, including 3 police officers and 1 soldier. Police spokesman Lionel Lazar made the announcement on Tuesday at a press conference. Among those accused of plotting against the government and backing the gangs is former Senator Nenel Cassie and former Kenskoff legislator Alfredo Antoine. Lazar said neither could not be immediately reached for a comment. For someone to turn their back on the government and take the side of the quote-unquote gangs, we may want to pay attention. Could it be because the so-called government officials are plants? And these are conversations we've been having. The people of Haiti have not had the opportunity to make their own selections. Everything is forced upon them. And is it possible that the former senator is saying enough is enough?
Yep.
Yeah, We have to read into everything. You know, the media, of course, we understand the media, legacy media plays, we understand their role. But the media has a way of shaping a narrative, right? And that narrative, once shaped, becomes embedded in our minds, and it contributes to how we perceive a misunderstood situation or a misunderstood people. And that is what is happening here. We don't have all the details, we don't have all the information, we don't have access to the truth. So we are easy prey in terms of being easily manipulated. We are easily swayed, we are easily encouraged to think a particular way. And we have to be careful with that. But this is something that we ought to pay attention to. For a former senator to plot against the government and back a gang is very telling. A so-called gang. Let me put it in quotation. Gang. All right. Okay. We'll wait for more on that story. What I'm hoping and praying for is that the gold, if it's in Fort Knox, will be given back to Haiti, because it went to the US took it out, and we haven't heard anything else about it. But give it back to Haiti. I'm going to ask, so that the Haitian people can, move their country forward. Yeah. I'll just leave that right there. UN report finds Haitian gangs armed with Florida's guns. FBI arrests Floridians for gun smuggling. This one is courtesy of Fox in Tampa. Let me pin the link on YouTube. Bear with me one moment. So this article, let's go ahead and get into it. Fox13news.com. As the crisis in Haiti unfolds, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is trying to dissuade refugees from fleeing to Florida. After the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission stopped a boat full of migrants and guns off the coast of Florida, analysts say guns from Florida are also flowing to Haiti. A 2023 report by the UN found a majority of violent Haitian gangs are armed with weapons they bought in the US, and especially guns they bought in Florida. Recent operations by the FBI and prosecution by the US Department of Justice has led to federal convictions for Florida residents accused of buying high-powered guns to arm the gangs in Haiti. It's kind of a perfect storm. That is according to retired FBI agent Jim Durain, who spoke with Fox 13 about law enforcement efforts to stop gun smuggling. These international gangs and these criminal organizations have very sophisticated means and networks to be able to facilitate smuggling, whether it's through shipments out of the ports, airlines, different things like that. And Haiti has a very open border as well. Earlier this year, the self-described king of the notoriously violent 400 Mawoso gang pleaded guilty to his role in a sophisticated scheme of illegally running firearms from Florida to the island. Ah, boy. Yeah, we need the crackdown. We need the crackdown if that can stave off, or help to mitigate any further quote unquote violence and unnecessary killings in the country of Haiti. We will take that. We'll take that. Do your part, US, at least. If that's the least you can do, do that part to intercept and to confiscate and do the rest in a court of law. And I'll leave it right there. We have another story out of Haiti. Morning, Empress. Oh, well, this is on the border, Haiti and Jamaica. So a Haitian man has died following a fight with a countryman in Portland. Wow, this is interesting. I wonder what could have happened for this to ensue. We're going to go ahead and get into this article. And this one comes to us courtesy of Nationwide Radio JM.com. A Haitian man succumbed to injuries sustained in a fistfight with another Haitian in Windsor Forest, East Portland, on Sunday night. Preliminary reports are that the two men were among a group of Haitians in Windsor Forest Square when the members of the group got into an argument and a tussle erupted. One of the men was punched, lost his balance, and fell on his back. Video footage shows when his head hit the asphalted surface. Residents say he was taken to hospital where he later succumbed. Residents say the group of Haitians has been in the community for the past 7 months. This latest incident has increased the number of murders recorded in Portland so far this year to 3. Wow. What could they have been arguing for? About? Over? What could be so serious that in a bust out in a fight? Huh? Jamaicans, be welcoming. Haitians, fall in line. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that one. All right, next up, also out of Jamaica, Wholeness says current administration superior to PNP in handling debt. Don't ever call yourself superior. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this article. And I think we have a soundbite for it as well. Yes, we do. So according to Nationwide Radio JM, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government's handling of debt is superior to that of the previous People's National Party, the PNP administration. The Prime Minister was reacting to the estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026 tabled in Parliament last week. In a post to his social media pages, the Prime Minister says the government is spending significantly less of taxpayers' money on debt interest than the PNP did in its time in government. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
In the current budget, we had $317.3 billion of debt principal. We used $66 billion of our own resources towards paying down the debt, and we refinanced the rest. In the new budget, only $162.7 billion of principal becomes due, or 48.7% less than the current budget. As a result, interest payment for the upcoming fiscal year is $4.8 billion less, or 2.6% less. Under the last budget in the PNP, the portion of your taxes that went to paying interest on the debt was 33.6%.
All right, so you hear the figures, right? The government is planning to spend approximately $1.3 trillion for the upcoming 2025 to 2026 fiscal year. This figure is nearly $100 billion less than the initial estimates of the expenditure tabled for the current financial year. Additionally, it's almost $126 billion less than the third supplementary estimates tabled last month. The Prime Minister, in championing the upcoming budget, credits the fiscal discipline applied by his administration for its ability to fund local development in the year ahead.
In our upcoming budget, the portion of your tax that will go to paying interest is down to 18.7%. We have cut it almost in half. Paying down the debt in a disciplined, orderly way creates more space for sustainable spending on the things that improve your quality of life, like another 100 new buses. When you are responsible and disciplined in doing the right thing, you will confound the naysayers. We are spending more on the people's needs without taking more from the people's pockets, while at the same time reducing the national debt. This is a good thing. Jamaica must never go back to the days of supporting reckless politicians who spend without regard just to get political power.
It's interesting. That was Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. I'll say a couple of things on this. Yes, has this administration done a good job, a real good job, a very good job? Yes, they have, where that is concerned. There has been mismanagement, and we're very aware as a lot of the issues have been brought forth to the media. A lot of things that are a little disheartening, for example, the $3 trillion that the argument stands, it's not that it's missing, it's just unaudited, right? It's not, it can be accounted for. We're just waiting for the accounting to be done. But let me be serious for a second. Yes, they have done well with the debt reduction and the interest that accrues, because the lower the principal, the lower the interest, right? And you know, you always have to satisfy interest first. So I'm hoping it is a matter where, while satisfying interest, they're also reducing principal, and that is how we're able to have an overall reduction in the interest that is applied to the debt portfolio. But while we are bragging and boasting about that, we also want to see to it that government employees are paid fair wages. And he brought up the buses, right? The JUTC buses. So it's all well and good to have these beautiful buses, really beautiful buses, painted a bright yellow, what do you call it, neon yellow, and in the colors of the flag. Let me put it that way. They're painted in the colors of the flag. But we have to be concerned when we talk about pay. Yes, you have the fancy bus, but if you're not paying the people to drive these buses, no point bragging, right? As far as I know, let me go to this article here. JamaicaObserver.com article dated the 18th, which was yesterday. So normalcy is set to resume across the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, the JUTC network, after the company and the University and Allied Workers Union reached an agreement to end the bus drivers' strike. Following discussions at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security on Tuesday, February 18, both parties agreed to terms that will see bus services restored by 5 p.m. of yesterday. As part of the agreement, the driver involved in last Friday's altercation has been granted sick leave based on medical recommendations. So there was an issue that transpired. Both parties, there's another, so they're talking about protection and safety. They're advocating for safety. That is important. I'm not sure. Are these buses? I think they are. And somebody let me know. Please send me a message, something. Let me know. But I think the buses are outfitted with cameras. I think. Right? I think they are. Don't quote me. But they want good pay. They want safe working environments. Let me put it that way. They want to know that they'll be safe as well. All right, so yes, you're paying down the debt. That's a good thing, a step in the right direction. With the $1.3 trillion that is going to be spent in the upcoming fiscal year, I would love to see a breakdown. Somebody please tell me where I can see a breakdown of how the money is going to be divvied up, how much each ministry is going to get. Are we going to be keeping tabs on the $1.3 trillion? This $1.3 trillion, is it going to be audited to ensure that it is spent in accordance with how it is going to be assessed? The different ministries, the different areas within the different ministries, so on and so forth, right? It is so important that we have this information. Yes. Yeah, but go on do your thing, Mr. Holness. Go on do your thing. We said we want change in Jamaica. Do I believe that the opposition is ready to take over? I don't think so. And I'm being honest. I don't think they are ready. What I have observed with the opposition is that a lot of critiquing, a lot of criticizing, a lot of attacking happens. But I don't see where they are saying, while I'm critiquing you, this is what we would do. This is something that can be done differently. And here is how it can be done differently. I don't know if that's a reasonable ask, because then people say, well, you know what, let the puss out of the bag. You know what, everybody know what them have planned, right? I get it, because You don't want to feed your opponents. I get that. But over the years, it's a lot of throwing darts and attacking. But I have not heard a proper plan from the majority of the opposition. Yes, from one or two individuals, and unfortunately, one of the said individuals who makes recommendations, she has made her last appearance in Parliament. She will not be up for re-election. She will not be contesting her seat in St. Anne. So it's a shame. But what can I say? Read up on yourself, opposition. If you feel you are the better option for Jamaica, you're capable of taking the baton and propelling Jamaica even further. Get yourself ready. Get yourself ready. Talk is cheap. Yeah, at some point you're gonna have to put your money where your mouth is. Plain and simple. All right. All right, so in our next article, we head on over to the Jamaica Observer, and the government strengthens support for secondary level students. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so according to the Jamaica Observer, the government will be developing intervention systems to support at-risk students at the secondary level and improve student retention in its continued thrust to improve educational outcomes. An early warning system will also be developed to identify at-risk students. These initiatives will be pursued under the Jamaica Education Project, which has been allocated $752 million in the 2025 to 26 estimates of expenditure. Well, at least we know where a portion of the $1.3 trillion is going, all right? 752 million is being given, all right, okay, to the Jamaica Education Project. The document was tabled by Finance Minister Favour Williams in the House of Representatives on February 13. During the upcoming financial year, training plans will be developed for teachers from grades 7 to 13. And for those of you who are not familiar, so high schools typically run 7 to 11. Those are mandatory years, 7 to 11. 12 and 13 are what we call upper sixth form. You have lower sixth form and upper sixth forms. I'm sorry, the first year, which is grade 12, is lower sixth form. Grade 13 is upper sixth form. Those 2 years are the equivalent of a community college. All right, so grades 12 and 13, those are the equivalent of earning what you call it, your 2-year degree at a community college or a junior college in the States. All right, in the sixth form, you're doing your A levels. All right, so just to give a little understanding. So let me go back to the article. During the upcoming financial year, training plans will be developed for teachers from grades 7 to 13, principals, and master trainers. An assessment of laboratories will be undertaken, and the government will commence procurement of science and audiovisual equipment for secondary schools. Additionally, equipment and human resource support services will be procured for the Education Management Information System. The EMIS will, among other things, record student data, performance, and attendance. So in January, it was reported that 15 schools were recording students' attendance digitally, while another 10 were 95% ready to begin using the platform. All right, so let's see if this will help to change and make for better improvements. Okay. Yeah, we're here for anything to improve the education system. The ultimate goal is to ensure that we have a 90% literacy and numeracy rate in the across the island, and whatever intervention systems that we can have in place to support our students, especially our at-risk students, I welcome it. So say, folks, out of the 1.3 trillion, 752 million will be used appropriately. In other stories out of Jamaica, Manchester mother charged for attempting to smuggle contraband to her son in lockup. Lady, really? Why would you do that? You're facilitating bad behavior. Let's get into this article. A 40-year-old Manchester mother was on Sunday charged for attempting to smuggle contraband hidden in slices of bread into the Christiana police lockup on a visit to her son. Monique Palmer of Ballinure District, and I hope I said it right, is charged with introducing contraband to a police lockup. Reports from the police are that at about 1:15 p.m. during the designated visiting hours for prisoners, Palmer was visiting her son, who is currently in custody. She presented several items to the police. During a search of the items, cannabis, tobacco leaves, and an earphone were found concealed in slices of bread, according to the police. She was then arrested and subsequently charged. Her court date is being finalized. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for you, because you have sense. You must have common sense. You know, so them are going to search your things. Why would you do that? So now, what? You in the same cell with your son? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Adesoji, aren't you supposed to be in class? How the school thing go? I'm so proud of Adesoji. And I'm gonna put Adesoji's business out there. I don't care if Adesoji want to vex with me or not. But Adesoji speaks knowledge. Who is one of our co-mods here with us on Caffeine Talk. Adesoji has become a scholars, what we call a scholars in Jamaica. So he is in school learning journalism, and he will be in school for the next 4 years, Monday to Thursday. So I expect him to be with us only on a Friday. I told him he will not be wasting my school fee money. Come and work hard for the little money for send him to school. But I know he's going to do a phenomenal job. This is right up his alley. You know, if you watch him on his YouTube channel, Adesoji Speaks Knowledge, you'll get what I'm talking about. Yeah. He's bookworm. He's on YouTube with us, folks. He's on YouTube live. He says bookworm mode activated. Oh, Adesoji, notice I'm repping the continent today in my garb, right? I read an African print dress that I got from my mother. Yeah, she have another one that I want to steal from her, but yeah, so I'm donned in your continent's print today. But yeah, Adesoji, you of course, you know, you have our love, our support, and we are going to encourage you, and we will stand behind you and rally behind you as you pursue your dreams. All right, so proud of you, proud of you. Yes, so all right, let's head on into our next article. Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, discuss strengthening regional securities regulation. This article can be found on newsday.co.tt. Jamaica's Financial Services Commission, FSC, wants to strengthen ties with key regional counterparts, including Trinidad and Tobago's Securities Exchange Commission. To this end, FSC Executive Director, Lieutenant Colonel Caron Burrell, hosted a meet and greet event with SEC CEO Kester Guy in Jamaica on January 24. The meeting was held at the FSC headquarters in New Kingston. An SEC press release on February 18 said discussions centered on strengthening regional collaboration in securities regulation and capital markets development. Burrell and Guy gave a commitment to working more closely to advance shared priorities, including exploring avenues to harmonize regulatory approaches and foster greater market integration and development across the Caribbean, through policy development and standard setting. Okay, next up. It's like Usain is all over the news this week, right? A lot has been happening. We've heard him being mentioned. But anyway, this is on a lighter note. I'll say this. This one is on a lighter note. It's not, we don't have to be as wound up as we were. We get to laugh a little bit as he answers if anyone will break his record. So this one we came across on talksports.com. Usain Bolt didn't hold back when asked if anyone would break his world records as Noah Lyles and Gout chased them down. Let's take a listen. Where are you? Where are you? Hold on a second, folks. Let me get it back up. It timed out on me. I guess I took too long. All right, let's take a listen. And it's loading back up.
Retiring early at 31. Like, that is very young. You could have kept going for a few more years.
Everybody keeps asking me, like, why did you retire? And the main reason, I remember I was talking to Michael Johnson, and I was like, why did you retire? You were at the top of your game. And he said, I'd done everything I wanted to do, and I had no motivation. You know what I mean? And when I got to, after the Rio Olympics, that's exactly how I felt. Because my main aim was to win 3 Olympics. That's what I wanted to do, set the bar high. And after that, my motivation kind of just went. So for me, it's, if you have no motivation to do anything, it doesn't make any sense because you're not going to put your 100% into it.
And it seems inconceivable now, but presumably someone at some point will beat your world records.
You can see into the future?
Well,
I don't think so. That's so confident I am.
You think they won't get? They won't be.
Didn't Kevin Hart beat you in a beach race?
But listen to this story though. So we get to the beach and it's supposed to be 100 meters. It's supposed to run 100 meters.
He's taking it seriously.
You know what I mean? So they were like, "Oh, we're gonna give Kevin 30 meters." You know what I mean? Well, it's gonna be 100 meters. All right, cool. I probably have a chance. You know what I mean? On the sand, so it's harder to run on sand. You know what I mean?
don't want extreme. Yeah.
So now they go, all right, we're going to take it down to 80, but we're still going to give Kevin our 30 meters. I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. Bring it down to 20 meters there. No, 30. I'm like, it was embarrassing. I wasn't
He
happy.
tells the story that he was not given the 30 meters.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Nah, you know.
But the takeaway from that, everybody taps out at some point, right? And if you're not going to do something, let me backtrack. If you have lost your passion and you know that continuing to do something that you're no longer passionate about doesn't make sense, because it will shine, it will come through. People will be able to tell that you are not as invested anymore as you once were. What could be the reasons? What are some reasons why people are no longer passionate about something they were once passionate about? Could be lack of support. Could be, and I'm not saying this is the case with you, Saint, I'm just speaking in general, right? So it could be lack of support.
Not feeling appreciated.
Yes, that's another very valid reason. Not feeling appreciated. And at some point, you have to choose self. But then again, that comes with the platform you're on too, because there are some people, they don't care about being appreciated by other people, because that can be borderline looking for validation from external sources.
But he's running for his country. So if he doesn't feel appreciated by his country, not saying that this is what's happening, why would you do it?
Yeah. Appreciation, no matter what, you want Well, as long as you have an audience, you want to be appreciated. And you know what? Come to think of it, it's in anything. Because an artist who works in seclusion, right? Because someone who does a lot of painting, someone who does writing, um, when you pour your talent into and you put your all into a project, let us say you're doing a painting. You do the painting and then you put it on display. You're expecting a response, aren't you? And when you don't get the response, whether it's negative or positive, stay with me here, right? When you get absolutely no response, none whatsoever, how does that make you feel? When you get up, you write a book, you pour your heart into this novel, and nobody cares to read it, purchase it, nothing. Even if it's for free, nobody gives it a time of day. I'm sure it does something to one's psyche. So as much as I will sit here and say, well, we shouldn't be looking for the validation from anybody else, truth is we all do to some degree. There are some of us who are able to keep going, not caring, and then there are some of us who hang on to every thread when, seeking validation, acceptance, approval from others. But back to him, yeah, when you've tapped out, you've tapped out. If you're no longer interested, you're no longer interested. And we have to appreciate the honesty in that. And when people look at you and say, you might say to somebody, but Ja, why you stop doing XYZ? You were so good at it. When Ja says to you, yeah, I was good at it, but I no longer am feeling it. I just don't have the desire. We have to respect that. Because what we don't want to do is to force people to do things that they have no moved away from, whether it's for their mental well-being or whatever the reason is. And a lot of times it's for your mental well-being. All right. And another thing I'll attach to this, whatever you do or choose to do, make sure you do it when you are ready to do it. Because one thing about people, they will want more and more and more from you. And before you know it, you have morphed into their perception and you have lost yourself. And I hope I'm making sense. Be careful. You can lose yourself. No, be grounded in who you are and the things that you will stand for. Because we're in a world where so many people are easily swayed. The more attention they garner, the more money they make, they start to do things that go against their moral compass. So be careful. Be very careful in the paths that you choose to go down. All right? Know your why. Do you all know your whys? Do all of you know your why, your reason? Why do you do what you do? All of us, we have a why. AT has a why. Marlon has a why. James has a why. RoSolo has a why. Ja has a why. Tasha has a why. We all have a why. All of you listening out there, there is a reason why you do what you do. There's something that makes you tick. All right, and I'm done. James, morning.
Morning. Yeah, I was gonna say Ja is my why.
There you go. There you go. See? We all have a why. You're all my why. The purpose. We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose. All right. And that story closes out our Caribbean Corner segment. Next up, stories out of Latin America. Las noticias. What do we have going on here today? All right, so Brazil to host the next BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro in July. Oh, before I get into the Latin American segment, you can head on over to coffeeinto.com. That's www.coffeeinto.com. While you're there is a tab that says That's More. And that is where you'll find stories from the various segments that we are not able to cover on the live show. So, out of the Caribbean corner, we have some stories about the South Coast Highway to be completed by 2027 in Jamaica. We have the Issa Trust Foundation brings U.S. medical team to train neonatal nurses in Jamaica. St. Vincent and the Grenadines launches their first SVG sailing week. U.S. Senator questions USAID's, let me just say it that way, use of U.S. tax dollars in Jamaica. With more associated gas found in the Stabroek block, Exxon can now supply Guyana with 120 million cubic feet of gas. So you can check those stories out in the Caribbean corner on www.coffeeinto.com on the tab There's More. All right, so let's keep it moving. What's that song again? Gotta keep on moving. I don't know why this week every time I say something, a lot of songs keep coming up in my head. I don't know why. Morning, Mr. President. Morning. Hold on a second. I know I put. Okay, all right, there. That's fixed. Fix that thing on fan base. All right. Stories out of Latin America. Brazil to host next BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, and that is happening in July. Let me pin this on the Hold on a second. What's going on here with Mr. Adesoji? Adesoji says, I have an XY. Adesoji, I have to check in for you after the show. Now. We need to talk. I need to put you on the sofa so we can talk. According to the Associated Press, apnews.com, the Brazilian government announced Saturday that the next BRICS summit will take place in Rio de Janeiro on July 6 to 7. Brazil will chair the bloc of developing economies through 2025 and said it will focus on promoting global governance reform and cooperation among global South countries. This is according to a statement from the federal government. BRICS was established in 2009 by Brazil, Russia, India, and China, with South Africa joining in 2010 as a counterbalance to the group of 7 leading industrialized nations. Last year, the bloc expanded by adding Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia has also been invited to join. Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Malaysia have formally applied for membership, and several other countries have expressed interest. Recently, the bloc welcomed Indonesia as one of its 11 members and Nigeria as a partner country, a designation introduced at the 2024 summit in Kazan. Brazil said the partner countries are also invited to participate in the summit and may attend other meetings if there is a consensus among members. We will make crucial decisions for development, cooperation, and improving the lives of all the inhabitants of these countries. President Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to impose 100% tariffs on BRICS nations if they act to undermine the US dollar. BRICS leaders have expressed their commitment to establishing an alternative payment system independent of the dollar. I'm laughing. Here's why I'm laughing. So, BRICS nations, if you impose 100% tariffs, remember how many countries in the world? The US, you're only one country. 8 billion people in the world. US, what's your population? Let me go back to this again. Oh, jeez. 334.9 million people in the US, give and take. as of 2023. That's a drop in the bucket. 8 billion people. We're not even at 500 million. We're not even at 1 billion. So the truth is, countries can eventually choose to ignore the US dollar and take on another currency as its primary trading currency. Countries can decide, you know what, depending on where they're located geographically, they can get up and choose to trade based on that particular currency in that region. So I don't think the world is as these countries feel threatened per se, because they recognize that they have options and there are workarounds. There are other ways, because really and truly, you know, when you trade, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. President, if you're able to speak, or you can put it in the chat. When you trade in the US dollar, what's happening is the US is now aware of every transaction happening around the globe. Am I wrong or am I right? When you don't trade in the US dollar, they're losing control. They're not aware. They need to know what's going on everywhere.
But morning. If you're trading in the US dollar, they don't necessarily know what's happening, because anybody could trade in US dollar, but it makes the demand for the US stronger. And then the more people trade in the US dollar, make it more reliable. It's currently the world currency as it stands. But where they get the information is when, for instance, when you're trading commodities and stuff, and you trade it through like the Chicago Exchange and so on, and they do the market to market, they control the trade. So they see both ends of the trade, and they do the currency conversion, like Brazilian real to let's say yen. You will give them real, they will convert it to US to do the transaction, etc. So they get a piece of the pie. But not just a piece of the pie, the information they get is even more important. So they know exactly what is happening with pork bellies, what is happening with coffee. So they know the trades that are going on. When you have bilateral trades, for instance, between China and Brazil, it bypasses the exchange. So they might see the demand for coffee or whatever going down, but they do not know exactly what is happening in the market. They're trading blind. Also, when you do not use the US dollar and you have alternative means of doing it, they cannot weaponize the dollar against you, sanction you, and stuff like that. It makes it more difficult for them because you could bypass the sanctions because you're not using them.
Exactly. Correct. Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. And we are still in Brazil for our next article, courtesy of CNN.com. Let me go ahead and pin that here on YouTube. Brazil to join major oil exporting nations in OPEC Plus group. Brazil's government on Tuesday approved joining OPEC Plus, a group of major oil exporting nations, signaling the country's evolution into a major oil state just 9 months ahead of hosting the United Nations Annual Climate Summit. The National Council for Energy Policy's approval, came in response to an official invitation in 2023. The group includes the 12 members of OPEC, the long-standing group set up to coordinate oil production to stabilize markets, plus 10 more significant oil-producing nations, with Russia by far the largest. Though non-OPEC members agree to cooperate with OPEC nations, Brazil won't have any binding obligations such as production cuts. Mines and Energy Minister Alexandra Silveira made that comment at a news conference. So he also added that OPEC Plus is merely a forum for discussing strategies among oil-producing countries. We should not be ashamed of being oil producers. Brazil needs to grow, develop, and create income and jobs. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva began his third term in 2023, touting himself as an environmental defender and has worked to reduce deforestation in the Amazon rainforest and to protect indigenous rights. But he has also argued that new oil revenues could finance a transition to green energy. In recent weeks, he pressed the country's environmental regulator to approve exploratory drilling near the mouth of the Amazon River, one of the most biodiverse regions of the world. Brazil is the world's seventh largest oil producer, with about 4.3 million barrels daily, or 4% of the world's output. This is according to Energy Information Administration, which is a US government agency. In 2024, crude oil became the country's top export product, accounting for 13.3% of Brazil's foreign sales. All right. So OPEC Plus, kind of like you have Samsung Plus. So things should be better for them. Go right ahead, Mr. President.
You know, all the drilling and exploration and all this new oil well and stuff, and the current sanctions, the cutting out of Russia and all the stuff is putting the environment at a greater risk. Because everybody now, there seems to be this rush for energy because you need it to power your crypto stuff, you need it for all the EV stuff and all the different things. And that rush for extra energy, somehow the environment seems to be a side piece in that. When you're starting to drill in one of the most biodiverse places in the world for oil, it is a cause for concern. And I could understand Brazil's position because for years Brazil has been asking for help in the Amazon. They have been it's the lungs of the world, and the biggest polluters and stuff is ignoring the call. They're making promises they are not keeping. And I think we have to rethink where we're going as a whole, because places like the Amazon and for Brazil should be subsidized, or they should work with these people to maintain these environments because the world need it. The deforestation, the cattle ranching, and all the stuff that is taking place there, we have to cut it out. There are alternative ways. And I'm thinking that push now for this great oil rush, everybody want to get rich on oil, I think will come at a very, very high cost. Are you?
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. That's a great point to raise. It is a great concern for us to air. Yeah. We have to be careful. We have to be extremely careful. I think I asked a question a couple weeks ago. All this oil that is being drilled for around the world and the extraction of all these barrels of oil, is it necessary for us to be doing so much drilling? Are we running short for consumption? Is it that we are consuming so much oil that they have to do so many barrels per day globally?
When you sanction the biggest producers, when you're moving away from Russia, when you sanction Iran, then you sanction Venezuela. Put Russia, Venezuela, and Iran together, and that is a huge chunk of the oil producers. So now you're trying to get alternative ways. So you would see the fast forwarding Guyana like oil on steroids, because they have to try to get an alternative supply outside of these countries. You understand? When you take them out of the market, then you're artificially inflating demand. But are you?
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President. All right. So moving right along, we are heading on over to Colombia for our next article. Let me pin it on YouTube. So Colombia's Petro says drug traffickers want to kill him with missiles. Wow. This article, courtesy of globalbankingandfinance.com. According to Reuters, out of Bogota, Colombia's President Gustavo Petro on Tuesday said drug traffickers have acquired 2 missiles which they plan to fire at his plane in order to kill him, citing the success of his efforts to tackle the drug trade. You know, they want to shoot a missile at my plane, which the drug traffickers bought and have stored there. Wow, not 1, but 2 missiles. We know who they are, but we have to act, Petro said, without presenting evidence during the possession of the new director of Colombia's National Police. That's a serious threat. Huh. Are we manufacturing consent for something here?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Key there.
I beg. How was school yesterday?
School was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. When I saw that 2 missiles, he said, and they're trying to kill him with 2 missiles, right?
Not what, but
So, yeah, okay, but 2. So, is he suggesting you'll be okay if they throw stones at him?
them not want him dead, them want him dead. Them want him gone. Them doubling down. Something is off with the article.
Yes, he's manufacturing concept.
Yeah.
That's it. He wants to say, okay, if we have reasonable suspicion, we're free to go after you.
Yeah.
So because he said in there that he has the look at me, my course is coming into use. It says it says
At least we know some money now. We are squam schoolers.
yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening. You know, so, yeah, news analysis is coming in key. So he's effectively saying that if it's okay that we're going after these people that we know to have 2 said weapons, and you don't want them to get rid of your democracy, please, you know, the next time you hear anything that we do, just agree with it. That's it.
Simple. Just like that. And a lot of, this is how things happen in the world. Let me just leave it right there. A lot of things that we see happening, attacks being made on groups or individuals or countries, much of it usually stems from manufacturing concept. Yeah. Next up, stories out of Latin America. We head on over to the DR. Dominican Republic sets eyes on Guyana's Berbice block. Interesting. This one, courtesy of oilnow.gy. The Dominican Republic has its eyes set on the Berbice block, an offshore asset spanning 0.6 acres in the shallow waters of the Guyana Basin. Its president, Luis Abinader Corona, shared this during the opening of the Guyana Energy Conference. He said, the Dominican Republic is ready to finalize an agreement on the Berbice block, hoping to replicate your success story. Oil Now confirmed that the country has expressed interest. The Berbice block returned to the government in 2023 after being relinquished by CGX Energy, its subsidiary ON Energy and Frontera Energy in March 2023. According to information on the Ministry of National Resources Petroleum Management Program website, 7 exploration wells were drilled. Guyana and the DR's collaboration spans 6 memoranda of understanding signed back in 2023. One was for the establishment of a refinery, a 50,000 barrel a day facility in Guyana, with DR partners holding a 51% stake. Another was for the establishment of a petrochemical plant with an annual capacity of 300,000 tons, 200 MTD of urea with full utilization of 129 MTD ammonia production. President Abinader said the feasibility of the petrochemical plant has been completed. I had no clue, Mr. President. Thank you for this article, by the way. I had no clue that the DR was into the oil thing too. I thought they were, okay, let me stop up that man of business. I just stay learning. This one is interesting. Okay. I'm not going to say they shouldn't embark on their endeavors. Go on with your bad self, DR. Go on with your bad self. All right, next up, Honduras reaches agreement to extend extradition treaty with the U.S. This article courtesy of AlJazeera.com. Honduran President Castro has announced her government has arrived at an agreement with the United States to extend an extradition treaty that she had previously pledged to discontinue. Castro said on Tuesday that the agreement will include safeguards for Honduras's sovereignty after previously attacking the treaty as an example of the heavy-handed U.S. influence in Latin America. She said in a social media post, I have reached an agreement with the new United States administration so that the extradition treaty will continue with the necessary safeguards for the state of Honduras, guaranteeing its objective application. The treaty was otherwise set to expire in 10 days. But Castro's decision comes amid U.S. calls to continue the agreement, which has been used to facilitate the extradition of figures such as former President Juan Orlando Hernandez and former police chief Juan Carlos Bonilla. Hernandez, for example, was a staunch U.S. ally who came to power as a law and order figure. But in April 2022, he was extradited to the U.S., where he was convicted last year of using his influence to protect powerful drug traffickers. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Castro's government had said in August that it would allow the extradition treaty to expire, accusing the U.S. of intervening in Honduran politics and plotting a coup against her government and the armed forces. The Honduran president's husband, Manuel Zelaya, was himself expelled from power in 2009 in a right-wing military coup carried out with the support of the business community. I have a question. So Hernandez, per this article, right, said that he used his position of power to influence and to protect drug traffickers. Was this done in the US or was this done in Honduras?
It was done in Honduras.
So why did he need to be extradited to the US? Why did he need to be tried in the courts in the US? Okay. All right.
I mean, again, history tells us that if we don't learn, history doesn't rhyme, it repeats itself. What happened to the guy? The guy who was picked up?
So now he is serving, he was sentenced to 45 years in prison.
Who else? I bet, who else was sentenced to 45 years? A couple of years ago. Manuel Noriega of Panama. The same guy who was working with the Americans. And the moment he fell out, he became a persona non grata, and now you want him. And you then sentence him to 45 years. Hopefully before he dies, he gets released. How you?
Just to add Adesoji, remember, Noriega gets sentenced to 45 years, but Noriega gets sentenced for selling drugs while he was a counter-revolutionary sponsored by the US and used the same drug money to buy arms. Don't leave out that part.
Oh, you're gone too far now, Mr. President. You're gone a little bit too far now. You need to pump the brakes. You can't be spilling all the tea out there.
You see the rhymes? He who studies. You see the rhymes? He who studies history, you never fail. They will never pull a scam over your eyes. But obviously, people are not supposed to learn these things because their kids will be uncomfortable in class.
I just find certain things interesting, but they say sometimes you must see and blind, hear and deaf. Yes.
But I don't understand. These things are public information. I don't know, like we just seem to forget these things. I didn't go to, these are normal, everyday stuff.
It's not
newspaper, frontline.
Yeah, these are not stuff I went to do no big set of research. These was the things that was open.
Yeah, but even though we are privy to the information because of what is spread across the different media outlets, Mr. President, yes, they share it with us, but they don't want us to talk about it. And, we're supposed to forget. Just read it and keep it moving. Don't pay much attention to it. How dare us have conversation about it? How dare us try to pick it apart and try to stitch pieces together? How dare us be reminded?
The thing is, the reason why the Noriega story was so potent is that when Noriega come in power and Noriega realized what was doing us, he decided he has to work on behalf of the people. So then he was fighting as a capitalist and he turned a socialist because he wanted to put things in place to benefit the Panamanian people. And that was his real crime, not the drugs. The crime was the fact that he wanted to put things in place to help the people of Panama.
Oh boy. And that
How,
one.
how dare he? How dare he want to serve his people? Why would you want to do that when you're Lord and Masters? Yeah. Come on, you can be doing that in our neck of the woods.
Yeah. All right, so that one wraps up our stories out of Latin America. And for more stories out of Latin America, I invite you to log on to www.coffeeinto.com and click the tab There's More, and you'll see stories. Abdullah asks CARICOM heads, addresses um, Trump, Cuba, Venezuela. So he's asking CARICOM heads to address Trump, Cuba, and Venezuela. Mexican tequila makers fret as U.S. tariffs threaten their business. Brazil targets illegal logging in major Amazon raids. And indigenous leader in Peru says illegal miners use children as human shields in the Amazon. So you can head on over to www.coffeeinto.com, click on the There's More tab, and the links to those stories are there. All right, time for stories on the international scene. So, first up, we head on over to Sudan. And our Sudan story, Sudan paramilitaries kill hundreds in White Nile villages, according to NGO. And this story can be found on aljazeera.com. And I'm putting the link on YouTube, or I should say, putting the headline on YouTube. That's what I need to say. So let's go ahead and get into this article. Sudanese rebels have killed hundreds of people in a 3-day assault in the southern White Nile state, according to a rights watchdog. The attacks on villages near the town of Al Gitaina by the paramilitary rapid support forces killed more than 200 people. Emergency lawyers, a group tracking rights violations in the 21-month war between the Sudanese army and the RSF, said on Tuesday. Field executions, abductions, forced disappearances, and lootings were carried out, the group said. Some victims drowned after being shot at while trying to flee across the Nile River in what emergency lawyers branded a massacre. Sudan's army aligned Ministry of Foreign Affairs said later the number of victims had so far reached 433 people, including infants. The Paris based Sudan Tribune reported that RSF forces killed or injured dozens on Monday alone. A resident quoted by the media described how RSF fighters on motorbikes fanned out, opening fire on people in the streets and inside their homes. And you can color me slow, but what is this all about? What is the reason for all of this? What is the real reason for all of this?
Power.
Seems to be a common denominator with many things, huh? This hunger for power.
And we're in the season of where might rules. If you dare ask a question, you could be, how can I say it, pillared in society, thinking, how dare you question the other?
And this power that we are so hungry we're hungry for. We have this insatiable appetite for hunger. When we get this power, to what avail?
Definitely not for the for the public good. It's power just sometimes it's power just for power's sake. It's the thrill of it all. It's knowing I can do things, get away with it, and no one will question me because quote unquote I'm doing it for the people. And the people that are supposed to be uh said power is supposed to be used on behalf of don't have a clue about the extent of such powers. And so they'll be like, well, mistakes do happen until it becomes too embarrassingly obvious. And then we try and reel ourselves back in. By then, it's too late.
Is there anybody who has ever, or let me back up for a second. Do we know of anyone who yearned for power, got said power, and used the power for good? Do we know anybody?
Well, everybody seeking power would initially say, yeah, they're doing it for good. But then as time goes on, the farther you realize you could get away with whatever, you deviate. It's a human trait. And most people do not relinquish power except they are asked to, or when I say most, yeah, most, or they're forced to give it up. So you know how that's gonna pan out.
Just asking because, I don't know. Something must be wrong with me. I don't know if I'm even human at this point because I seem to be lacking certain traits.
No, there's nothing wrong with you. It's you have a boundary, as all humans should have. You have a boundary. You govern yourself with ethics, and you see people around you that don't have said ethics. Two things can happen. If you're not grounded in set ethics, you start questioning who you are. But if you're grounded, you push back against whatever is coming towards you. Yeah, sometimes you get crushed in the moment, but at least you know you went out swinging, as they would say.
You fight till the death of you and you stand your ground. You stand 10 toes down on your beliefs. And
Yeah, goes the saying, those who don't stand for anything fall for everything. So
and that's what they want us to do, right? Be like sheep being led to the slaughter.
At what point we will have some organization in Africa who will come together and say, let us solve our problems? When the AU would decide, let us solve the Congo, let us solve, let us get a united Africa, or let us get an organization strong enough to try to help garner some peace in the nation. And first, get rid of all the foreign people, all the international, all the NGOs, all of them, get rid of them. We come in, we fill the gap, we find workable solutions, and we take it. Do like what the guys in the Sahel is doing. Because this is not working. We've been recycling this forever and ever and ever, and every year is a new conflict somewhere with a new, come on, man. And somebody in the background pulling some strings. Hey, you.
Oh boy. Something just popped up on my screen, and I let me read it. With FEMA gone, when communities are destroyed from natural disasters, billionaires can buy the land for pennies on the dollar. That's for us folks here in the US.
this is what it's known as turkey voting for Christmas. Clock, 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 clock. You know what's gonna happen? Exactly.
And then the turkeys are gonna say, but remember, I voted for you, so it shouldn't affect me.
Yes. Because again, it goes back to the question you asked earlier. Why am I different? You're not different. It's that you've been hot-wired. I don't mean you, I'm using a pejorative. That people have been hot-wired to expect that they're entitled to something. Not that they're entitled to humanity, but the entitlement, blends, it rolls over everybody else's right to exist. And so when you seem to be making some sort of headway, somebody is always there. To quote somebody else who said, America happens to you, the United States happens to you. And it's a euphemism for the ills of the society. It happens to you. And when that happens to you, instead of community to gather around you to support you, instead what they will do is point the finger. Like, look, if only you did this, this wouldn't have happened. Now you've created a situation whereby you've gotten rid of FEMA. If you have a disaster, hopefully you don't have one in the next 2 months. No, seriously. If you have one in the next 2 months, oof, God. And depending on where it happens, depending on the state where it happens, you will see people crying that even the people in space will hear. I yield.
Next up. Oh, Lord. German auto parts giant Continental to slash 3,000 more jobs. What's going on over there in Germany? Germany, you okay? You okay over there? All right, let's tap into this article. Courtesy of Finance, Yahoo.com, German parts supplier Continental. You know, those good tires, they make them good up tires there. Yep. Well, they plan to cut a further 3,000 research and development jobs in its automotive division by the end of 2026, with more than half of the cuts to hit plants in Germany. The company made the announcement on Tuesday at its Nuremberg facility, and that it would be shuttered as part of the cuts. And other facilities in the German states of Hesse and Bavaria would also be hit hard. Continental cited the downturn in Germany's automotive industry in announcing the additional job cuts. A year ago, Continental had announced a round of cuts as part of its cost-saving efforts. At the time, it said 7,150 jobs would be estimated, or rather eliminated, in its automotive division, with 5,400 of those cuts to hit administration and 1,750 in development. Continental said on Tuesday that those previously announced reductions have now been 80 to 90% implemented. With the latest announcement, total job cuts at the company now total over 10,000. Could this be attributed to China? To China. Yes, China. No, seriously speaking, the tide or the sails have been adjusted to go with a different tide. Go right ahead, Mr. President. Was it Mr. President?
In Germany case, I don't think it's China. I think it's Russia. When you cut off Nord Stream 1 and you did not bring Nord Stream 2 online, you then increase manufacturing and cost and so exponentially, because you're still struggling to find a proper solution. And then you have the current chancellor who will go down on the history of the one that tanked the German economy, put into a recession because he's busy sending weapons to Ukraine to fight a war that cannot be won. So that's what I think. That's what it is. It's becoming too expensive because they're struggling to get proper fuel. Because once they cut out Russia, that really put some pressure on the German economy, which is manufacturing base. And then look at where they're cutting it from, research and development. So you're looking at research and development, you're cutting your research and development at a time when the EV race is really heating up. So essentially what will happen a couple of years from now, you would end up falling behind. Because research and development is what is driving most industries right now. That's just my opinion.
Interesting. Okay.
Germany is a curious case. And to buttress what Mr. President said, it's funny how, again, I repeat this thing, it's funny how history not only rhymes, history often repeats itself. One of the major drivers of World War II was the automobile industry. And I don't mean to scare people, but it's something for people to be observant of. Henry Ford supported the Nazis by first of all saying being anti-Semitic is okay. A couple of weeks ago, someone also of the automobile industry, Elon Musk, addressed the AFT in Germany, saying they need not worry about what happened in World War II. He is also an automobile guy. So how does that relate to what is going on in terms of the job cuts and everything? There's this creation of victims. And unfortunately, those victims look like you and I. And the faster that people realize these things and realize all this sort of threads that are flowing, the faster you can nip it in the bud and not be asleep at the wheel. Because this wheel, this car, if there is nobody steering it, is going off the cliff. You have, quote unquote, the richest man in the world literally have access to the nuclear codes. Because I can tell you for one, that big baby with his dummy in his mouth doesn't know what's happening. He's just there signing stuff away. So, seriously, he's just there signing stuff away. Anything they tell him to make him feel good, oh, the people will love you if you do this. He does. Yeah, he does. There's a recent thread going with the judges, even the ones he appointed, saying this country is about to go to ports. You know, so I come back to the issue of what is happening in Germany. When you lay people off for no fault of theirs, simply because the political class followed a certain narrative, and you create wars that are totally unnecessary, regardless of which party is involved. Because the thing now would be, because, oh, the Democrats did it. No. The Republicans also did Gulf War I, Gulf War II, went into Afghanistan, you know. And I mean, you could literally hand trophies, war trophies, to each of the parties. But then that's not the point. The point is, the faster that people see what is a common thread that threatens their very humanity, regardless of political ideology, the faster they start calling it out. I have some friends on Facebook. Technically now they fall into the basket of stupid friends because they are repeating things that would make sure that they don't see, or their grandchildren never get to see them. But they keep repeating it. So it comes back to this. Jobs, telling people, you know, now you've given them a deadline that they're going out in 2026. So effectively, if somebody were to come to them now and say, you know what, the only reason why you're losing your jobs is because this. Anything to make them feel good, they will follow. And that is the whole thing. That is how Germany, the Third Reich, started. Because he created a victim. And guess what they did? Hey, I yield.
Whoa! All right, there you have it. Thank you, Adesoji. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Germany, get it together. Oh boy. IMF poses $250 million external borrowing cap on Ghana for 2025. This article courtesy of GhanaWeb.com. Ghana has been restricted from borrowing more than $250 million in external loans, including commercial loans, in 2025, under a borrowing cap established as part of a memorandum of understanding with its official creditor committee. This borrowing limit has been set as a structural benchmark under Ghana's International Monetary Fund program, allowing the fund to monitor and evaluate the country's compliance annually. The MOU, signed by all participating creditor nations, facilitates bilateral agreements to enforce the $250 million disbursement ceiling. According to a report by myjoyonline.com, the borrowing cap is a key component of Ghana's broader debt restructuring strategy, which began in 2022 when the country suspended external debt servicing. It aligns with the ongoing Eurobond restructuring, where the government is exchanging $13.1 billion in outstanding Eurobonds for new notes. With the borrowing limit in place, the Ministry of Finance is collaborating with bilateral creditors to prioritize funding for critical ongoing projects. Government agencies have been directed to exclude externally funded capital expenditure from their 2025 budgets until the ministry finalizes its list of priority projects. The borrowing restriction presents a significant challenge for the new National Democratic Congress administration, which campaigned on ambitious infrastructure promises while grappling with substantial restructured debt obligations. Speaking to Bloomberg at the Munich Security Conference in February 2025, President John Mahama indicated that his administration does not intend to extend the IMF program beyond its scheduled conclusion in May 2026. Meanwhile, Ghana is actively engaging with commercial creditors, including Eurobond holders, to finalize restructuring agreements in line with the comparability of treatment principle. Do we agree with the cap? Yes or no?
Oh, well, at least now daddy has told them that you can't have that play box or whatever it is they play with now. Yeah, I won't say I agree with it. I'll just say Ghana needs to check itself, because once you get overexposed, these people will literally come in and take everything of value. But hey, it's Ghana.
So, question. With a cap, go ahead, Amit James.
Yeah, the cap thing, I wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to say I agree with it, but I think it's okay, because I think it's a punishment. Whenever you push back, something like this always happen, right? That's geopolitics. So you withhold chocolate from us, we withhold money from you, right? So so I think it's necessary, and austerity measures, like, they'll get through it. So I don't have a problem with it. Just don't give them back your chocolate. Them keep their money, you keep your chocolate.
So it's a tit for tat, no.
Yeah, that anytime it's obvious. Anytime countries push back, there's always something. Because remember, everybody know the IMF, the World Bank, all these people work alongside with the powers, right? So when you withhold, that's a form of what do you call it? Not embargo, but what do you call it?
A form of sanction?
A form of sanction. Yeah. Pretty much.
Moments. What Ghana have to do is to go to Russia, China, or anybody else, pay the IMF. That is what we talk about the IMF. The IMF give you a loan and then they strangle you. All right? When all these stupid austerity measures. The new government come in power now, has this ambitious plan. Then you tie the hand from the real development of Ghana. You understand? How are they supposed to progress to get out under your crutch? That's the problem we have with these organizations. Are you?
I think Moments is tossed up. But I feel Looking at Ghana, especially, they've made some dodgy expenditure in the last couple of years, not least the proposed building of the cathedral in the center of town. So maybe it's time to, roll back the funds, as it were. And instead of having a 3-course meal for dinner, eat some local, have some local menu.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I had to step away for a second. I am back.
I agree, Adesoji. The only thing is that the person who take the money to build this elaborate cathedral is no longer there. And then the hands of the person who is tied right now is the one who want to try to change it. So it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, swallow.
Why did I know you were going to do that? I knew you were going to do that. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's keep it moving. Let's head on over to Iran. Iran warns Israel and U.S. can't do a thing to thwart Tehran nuclear ambitions as tensions escalate. This one, courtesy of FoxNews.com. A senior Iranian official on Monday excoriated a meeting between U.S. and Israeli officials, calling it an illegal effort to thwart Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson blasted the meeting as a violation of international law and an effort, in his view. Washington, D.C. and Tel Aviv remain powerless to stop. He told reporters on Monday, according to a readout, and not the readout, Joanne, a readout provided by state media. When it comes to a country like Iran, they cannot do a damn thing. The Iranian foreign minister took aim at the sit-down between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, that happened in Jerusalem on Sunday, just one day earlier. Their meeting reportedly focused heavily on Iran's nuclear ambitions. Netanyahu, for his part, had signaled growing momentum between the U.S. and his country to curtail Iran's nuclear program, telling reporters after the Sunday meeting, "I have no doubt we can and will finish the job." However, this was sharply disputed by Bagay. You cannot threaten Iran on one hand and claim to support dialogue on the other hand, he added. Bagay's remarks come after Netanyahu boasted that Israeli military operations have weakened Iran's proxy groups in the Middle East, including the Palestinian terror group Hamas. "We can and will finish the job," the Israeli Prime Minister said. Some analysts have suggested that Israel's increasingly bellicose rhetoric, including on Tehran's nuclear program, could risk derailing Trump's stated interest in reaching a peace deal with Iran. Rubio said yesterday that the meeting furthered what he described as President Donald Trump's bold plan for Gaza, describing Iran as the single biggest obstacle to peace in the region. The president has also been very bold about his view of what the future of Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that's bold and something that, frankly, took courage and vision in order to outline. Netanyahu also said that he and Trump share a common strategy for Gaza, and that includes the complete destruction of Hamas as a political and military force. Can you imagine? Adesoji, I'm going to stay right here where I am in the US, and I am going to dictate what is happening in your household over there in the UK. And there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't comply, I'll flatten your house and do as I please with it. Iran said, touch a button, no? If you think you're bad.
But wasn't the same president that disbanded the peace treaty they had the arrangement we had with the Iran nuclear program, who now have the same Iranians fast tracking the enrichment of uranium to develop their own nuclear weapon because they see that as a deterrent. And the only reason why he's going to Iran now is because Iran is the one player actor in the Middle East that can disrupt his real estate plan for the Gaza Strip. That's the only reason. He don't want no peace with Israel. He just want to make with Iran. He just want to make sure he can cover his Gaza project.
Hold on. You said, isn't this the same president? Mr. President, do you think the president knows exactly what he's doing sometimes? That's the truth. I just think he just signs for the heck. He just unravels, undoes anything he didn't do. I don't even want him to do because he was the one that was instrumental with Los Tres Amigos, Canada, US, and Mexico. And he's the same one saying, whoever made this deal.
Yeah, but you will think the clapping seals behind him will remind him. But hey,
that you know what they're feeding. I think you know what I think it is, quite honestly. Sometimes you just have to let people be. You know, when you're going to some nursing homes, right? And you have dementia and Alzheimer's patients, and no matter what you're telling them, they're not grasping it because there's a thought that's going through them at that particular time that we can't connect with. So you just let them be. You just let them be. And I think this is what is happening. They have recognized that you cannot debate him, you cannot argue with him, you cannot dissuade him. So you know what? Just let him be. At some point, he's going to come to the realization, not that he's going to admit that he made a wrong choice. He, of course, is going to deflect and blame somebody else for the choice, right? Yeah, so just let him continue. Just leave. So
but the problem with letting him be is we're all sat on a branch of a tree. This guy's got a saw in his hand and he's cutting that branch of the tree that we're all on. What do? Do we call his attention to it, or we just let him be?
Let's see if he will land.
And we're all going down.
But hold on, we might get some cushion to land on if he's at the bottom of the pack. You know, we might have a soft landing on top of him. You know.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but there's no guarantee that will happen.
No guarantees indeed. All right, next up, let's head on over to New Zealand. New Zealand's weak economy, seeing more and more people fleeing the country. Here's the current status of net immigration. But hold on, I thought it was New Zealand that was shelling out money the other day. But it wasn't New Zealand shelling out money for people to come there?
No, they changed the entry that you could come from any part country of the world. Remember, you had to speak English before?
Yes.
But now all the English speakers are leaving. They're trying to get other people, I guess.
Too far.
Is the face of New Zealand changing? Interesting. All right.
Too far.
You say too far? I mean, we could go there and make life. I mean, we should all explore it. We don't know what opportunities are.
Not for all the English speaking abilities in the world. I'm sorry. No, too far.
Well, you just a shoot down a dream, sir. But I tell you.
Anywhere that takes more than 6 hours to get to.
Too far.
Too far.
How long is the flight from the UK to Nigeria?
That's 5 hours, 58 minutes.
Oh, right under the 2 minutes shy of 6 hours.
Hey, once it goes beyond that 6 hours, it's too far now.
If the plane delay, we have a deserter.
So does that mean because a plane depart from taxi to taxi, meaning leaving one gate and arriving at another gate? You haven't.
No. Whilst the undercarriage is tucked into the belly of the plane, is the counting time. We can still, like you're leaving your area to get onto the motorway. That leaving your area to get onto the motorway doesn't count as traveling. That's normal course. But it's when you get on the motorway, it's like, now you're traveling. Listen, that's counts as traveling.
Takeoff is when the door closes and the thing has moved away from the
and you see the air hostess waving her hands and everything else, and yeah.
Yeah, and you hear the captain say, flight
This is
attendants,
the captain speaking.
flight attendants prepare for departure, and you know they buff into them walk through, and you hear ding ding. It's not when they're at the runway ready to, and you hear the engines revving up and
No, that doesn't count. So we're up in the air and you hear tutu, so which means that's the tire coming in, and then you hear the flaps tutu, which means it's adjusting because it's climbing, and then you hear key, still climbing, and then you hear dun, dun. You may now
you may know.
now open this.
You're free to move about the cabin.
Thank you very much.
But
Now
while you're seated,
now we're
please
flying.
keep your seatbelts.
Exactly. Now we're flying. Because I don't want to tempt fate. You might be climbing and you might drop. We dropped country. So listen.
New Zealand's weak economy is seeing a recording number of people beginning to seek overseas work opportunities and reside elsewhere than their own country amid high costs of living and deep recession. According to a Fortune report, departures rose to 128,705 last year from 101,585 in 2023. And a major bracket of New Zealanders have left the country to seek opportunities elsewhere. The weaker labor market in the US is one of the biggest reasons for the sudden rise in departures of New Zealanders from the country. While this very thing eases the pressure of the housing market, slower population growth and a sharp drop in net immigration may also impede an economic recovery, says Fortune. Moreover, it could be helpful for the government's development agenda ahead of the 2026 elections. So the total number of New Zealanders who departed the country, including those who returned home, touched home, stood at 47,000 recently. So, many of them, yeah, because I want to know where are they going? Well, they're saying here, most of those who left the country went to reside in Australia for overseas opportunities in that country. So what's up, New Zealand? The recession really hitting it that hard? Cost of living is that bad there? Oh, wow.
It's a small place. It's a small place. The two major cities there are Christchurch and what's the other one? Name escapes me now. Auckland. And so those are their major economic centers. It's agricultural led economy. So you know what you're gonna get with that. So most stuff are seasonal. They do have nice leg of lamb, so if you go to some of the expensive stores here, you see them hanging like, oh, this is from New Zealand. Yes.
Organic, grass fed.
Or proper grass fed,
GMO free.
GMO free, with all the loving in the world, have his own bed, goes in, it's like time to have a nap, so not like the walked cows and the other side of the world, which shall be nameless. Yeah.
So can we appeal to the folks here in the US, the European Caucasians here in the US? Can we appeal to them? Those who keep telling the indigenous that they don't belong here. How about can we invite them to go over to New Zealand and turn things around? They'll be comfortable there because they will see more people that look like them. Is that a possibility?
Well, that's New Zealand, like Australia, has pretty okay. So New Zealand, Australia, and the United States have one thing in common: settler colonialism. So, so you're gonna be pushing up against that, and it's how can I say? It's planned peace. It's planned and workable peace in New Zealand. In Australia, it's still bubbling underneath. In the US, it bubbles every day. So it doesn't.
Can I make another suggestion? How about the folks in South Africa? We don't need more of what we already have enough of here in the States. Can they go to New Zealand? And because the images of the folks that I see in South Africa, the ones who feel slighted and abused and oppressed and what have you, and discriminated against, they look like the folks here in the States that reside in sundown towns. Can we have them go to New Zealand instead of coming here?
I won't say they go to New Zealand. Say maybe they walk into the ocean. Maybe they're better. Sorry, but nah. I won't. The thing is, I won't want to transfer trash. It's not a very nice look.
But hold on a second. I'm here running my mouth and I'm forgetting something. New Zealand. What do the indigenous look like for New Zealand?
Maoris and white settlers.
White settlers.
White
settlers are not indigenous.
No, I said white settlers. I said settlers. Yeah.
Oh, settlers. Okay.
You said what do they look? What does
the indigenous? What do the indigenous of New Zealand?
They look brownish.
So
Maoris.
I can't send them to New Zealand then, no?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. No,
No,
we can't.
no,
You can't transfer trash.
Yeah, I just realized. Thank
No,
you.
no.
Oh my gosh. We can't send them to Australia because the indigenous of Australia, are on the brown side. We need to send them where they will be most comfortable. So guess what, folks? The rest of us, though, can't go to New Zealand. The rest of us brown folks and people of color and black people, we can go to New Zealand. We should fit in with the indigenous there.
I mean, I'm sure you can find there are pockets of space in the United States where you can move this on this how can I say, the great unwashed in South Africa. You can move them into. I mean, they did try. They did. Some of them did move over following the end of apartheid. They went. Yeah, they did. As documented, they went into Texas and Florida.
Why am I trying to help them out? Let them figure life out on their own. They'll get it. Why am I worrying about them? Scotland frees hundreds of inmates as UK grapples with prison overcrowding crisis. What's going on over there in the UK? Why is there a struggle?
Well, the thing is, UK has a policy of not building prisons. So the thing is, once the prison population gets to a certain number, what they do is they let go of the less violent, mostly civil offenses, put them in home detention and what have you. So that's what they do. There's nothing to be afraid of. But they won't let out the rapist and your serial. No, they won't do that. But the ones who refuse to pay their court-induced fine of 6 months and they're on those kind of short leashes, yeah. Murder, no. Rapists, no. Serial sex offenders, no. What else? Domestic violence, no. But people who will just shoplifting, stuff like that, they let them go. But they will be forced to come in maybe every other week to check how they're doing. Yeah. So it's a normal thing here. It's just that when it gets to a number, it's like when you have a dam. When your dam reaches a level, you open the floodgates, stuff like that. That's what they do.
So am I to understand then that the prisons in the UK are not privately owned?
There are some privately owned, but then they're handled. Okay, so they're privately built, but handed over to government. So they're not run. They're not run privately.
Okay,
no.
So you see what I'm grasping at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and read the article. Thank you, Adesoji. Scotland frees hundreds of inmates as UK grapples with prison overcrowding crisis. Article courtesy of NBC News and can be found on yahoo.com. Hundreds of prisoners will be freed in Scotland as part of a broader emergency response to ease the burden of overcrowded prisons across the United Kingdom. We have been managing an extremely high and complex prison population for more than a year, putting considerable pressure on all those living and working in our establishments. That was a statement made via email from the Scottish Prison Service spokesperson, and that was sent over to NBC News. Scotland's prisons housed almost 8,000 prisoners every day in 2024, a 6% increase on the previous year, according to its government statistics. In line with trends seen elsewhere in the UK, Scotland's prison population has significantly grown in recent years, and consequently, this rise has impacted prisons and the wider justice system. Scotland is a part of the United Kingdom, but like Wales and Northern Ireland, has its own semi autonomous government with broad powers over areas including healthcare, education, and law, meaning its government can unilaterally decide to free the prisoners without seeking the consent of the British Parliament in London. The prison population across the UK was just more than 97,000 people in March 2024, and this is according to the most recent British government data, which projected that number to grow by around 4,500 every year, while prisons remained almost full. But hold on a second, what is the reason for the crime? What's going on over there? I mean, I thought you all had it perfect over there. Life was good. What are people?
Well, there's a whole.
The rapists and the murderers.
Yeah. Okay, so
What else are
there's a
people
whole.
doing?
Okay, so there's a whole gambit of reason why people are in prison, and some of them are very laughable. Like some people are giving. This one will crack you up. Some people do have social housing, right? But they will rent out social housing, and then they will go and shoplift. They will get picked up, and then they will be put in prison during winter. Yeah. Some people. That's what they do. I kid you not. You will laugh when you read some of this stuff. It's like, really?
So let me ask you a question, Adesoji.
Yeah.
So when someone has a criminal record, quote unquote, criminal record over there
Mhm.
in the UK, how easy it is for them to get a job after they have served their purpose?
Well, it depends. Okay, so the once depending on the sort of crime, if you have any interface with legal, anything legal, if you have any interface, i.e., you get a speeding ticket, you get anything, you go on what is known as the DBS. So the DBS is like a list of offenses. You know, they won't say what the offense, but your name is on there, right? So that's a speeding ticket, not a parking ticket. Speeding ticket. That's you interfacing with the police. So you get that kind of it. So, but if said person is arrested for a crime, they also go on the DBS. But then there is like an entire full paragraph there that says what said person did. So depending, if you then go and apply for a job, they would ask you, do you have a spent or unspent criminal conviction? If you have a spent conviction, they would look at it, and then they will look at the period. If it's recent, then more than likely they won't give you the job. But if you have like 18 months, between 18 months to between a year and 18 months from said period of offense, or you being released, then more than likely they will just, based on the kind of job you're going for, yes, they will give you the job. They will give you the job. But then what they will do is they will interface with the probational service to see if this person is adjusting to life outside the incarceration system. And if that person is doing, then obviously they would, sooner or later, what they will do is after 5 years, they will expunge the record, depending on the level of crime. If it's fraud, however, banks, insurance companies, and stuff like that, you can't work there. That's a given.
That's a given.
That's a given.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So.
Quick question. One more question. What are some of the things that are grown agriculturally in the land over there in the UK?
In the UK, so you've got wheat, you've got potatoes, apples, strawberries, What else? What else? Cabbages. The land is very hard, so it's pretty salty. So they have to treat the land. Yeah. So they have to treat the land, and so most of the farmers are into animal husbandry. So you've got pigs, lamb, and cow for milking. Yeah. So
Any cheap farms available out there?
oh, there are farms. There are farms, but the thing about the farms is, yeah, there are farms, but the thing is, once you get said farm, you can't use it for anything else but farming.
Right. Yeah,
designated land. Yeah, designated land. So people, you can't come in here and buy farmland and build an Airbnb on it.
No, but you can have a farmhouse that you can use as an Airbnb.
As long as it's a working farm. It
Yes,
has to be a working farm.
So the guests will come and work the farm.
Yeah. Well, if they want to get their hands dirty, I see you love to get your hands dirty.
You know what? Singapore. Let's move on to Singapore. Hey, why is Singapore insulting America? Singapore says Asia sees US as a landlord seeking rent. This article courtesy of yahoo.com. So Asian perspectives of the US have shifted from a country once perceived as a force of moral legitimacy to something akin to a landlord seeking rent. That is according to Singapore's defense chief, made that statement on the sidelines of an international security meeting. He said in a roundtable discussion at the Munich Security Conference that assumptions undertaken in the years after the end of World War II have fundamentally changed. One example is that from the time of President John F. Kennedy's inaugural address more than 60 years ago, the image of the US was a country that would not allow tyranny, such as colonial control, to be replaced by another form of tyranny. Now, the image has changed from liberator to great disruptor to a landlord seeking rent. And that's according to a prepared text of his remarks posted on a government website over the weekend. The remarks came after US President Donald Trump's administration blindsided historic NATO allies with plans to directly negotiate with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the future of the Kremlin's war on Ukraine. The fear for many officials gathered for the conference in Germany is that by dialing back support for Ukraine, Trump is inviting Putin to probe NATO's willingness to defend the alliance's eastern borders. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, meanwhile, said the U.S. deserves payback from Ukraine for its support against the Russian invasion, and President Volodymyr Zelensky would be very wise to accept a minerals deal offered by the Trump team. Zelensky has rejected a U.S. draft agreement that would give Washington access to critical minerals in the war-battered nation. It's not war-battered. Stop it. Because we see images of people having a damn good time over there in that said nation Zelensky is leader of, both war-battered nation, because it didn't offer investments and sufficient protection. So here's what I see happening. If Zelensky does not accept the offer from Trump is going to tell Russia, go ahead and do what you have to do. That's all. That's what it is. Trump said Zelensky would be involved in peace talks with Russia after top U.S. advisors suggested the negotiations might go on without him. How much money did the U.S. pump into the Ukraine? Let me rephrase that. How much money did we send over there for the shopping sprees, James? Oh boy, we paid government officials over there. Yeah, we paid they're on the payroll. So let me ask a question. What do we think about Trump's offer? Let me be serious for a second. Should Zelensky accept the minerals deal as a way to stave off a furthering of the Russian invasion?
Hold on, what mineral deal?
What other choices Zelensky have moments? Can't win this war. And Trump now have him in a position where he has to negotiate. I think it's good that he wasn't even brought to the table with Russia, because he really don't have nothing to contribute. I don't think he have a choice. He's bolstering now, but he'll end up taking the deal. And those in Europe that he's telling him not to take the deal, they can't fill the vacuum that the US was taken. They could not even win with the US support. What do you think would happen without the US support?
Why?
Yeah. I think this was a big mistake. This should not have happened. I don't know. Maybe it's not a mistake. Maybe it worked out the way they wanted. Maybe people, got their money and they're nice and they're gonna end up rebuilding, and you're going to end up seeing some Trump towers and some Biden towers or whatever over there. Maybe it was all a part of the plan.
Going to be USA over there.
Yeah, maybe it was a part, but I just think too much people die, too much people suffer for something that could have been avoided. Because the thing is, like, Putin is not going to live forever. And Putin, a lot of times, sometimes you have strong leaders, and then they're the leader that come after them is a bit more manageable, and that could have happened. So just wait it out instead of like poke the bear and then this happened, because after how much 1,000 people died, and for them to come back to the same arrangement, you look back at it and you say, was it really worth it? Like, just give him the place that they spoke Russian, just take it, and don't kill so much people. It was a waste of lives and trauma and all this type of stuff. People gonna have to go through PTSD after the war, because a lot of the people that were fighting were not even soldiers. So just imagine regular people get up a fire gun and kill people. They're gonna face a lot of PTSD. So it wasn't worth it.
Oh, thank you, King. Go ahead, Mr. President.
James, you should not have listened to Boris Johnson. You should have taken the deal, either have a better deal and save a lot more lives.
No, you people are anti-West. With the British, will support him.
In our next article, South Africa open to any country for nuclear project bids, including Russia and Iran. This one is pop up on my screen. News: U.S. Senator Tom Tillis, Republican, North Carolina, has introduced legislation to increase bank overdraft fees on American consumers. Tillis is the most vulnerable Republican up for re-election in 2026. North Carolina, do what you must.
Hold on, he what?
He has introduced legislation to increase bank overdraft fees on American consumers. Tillis is the most vulnerable Republican up for re-election in 2026. So, America, do what you must up there in North Carolina.
Hold on. Yeah, maybe I know my ears work funny. Did you say he introduced to increase, not reduce?
To increase, yes, increase.
Okay.
Yeah, increase.
And he's Republican.
In North Carolina.
Okay.
Woo, let the show go on. Yes, so according to businesslive.co.za, South Africa could turn to Russia or Iran to expand its civilian nuclear power capacity. That's according to a senior government minister. A stance analysts say that could deepen a rift with the US and further delay the renewal of a strategic energy pact. South Africa, which operates Africa's only nuclear power plant, plans to add 2,500 megawatts of new capacity to tackle the electricity outages that have plagued the economy and to reduce emissions. We can't have a contract that says Iran or Russia must not bid. We can't have that condition, said the Minister of Mineral Resources, who is one of government's leading proponents of expanding nuclear capacity. If they are the best in the terms of the offer on the table, we'll take any country, he said. South Africa is under scrutiny from Washington after President Donald Trump issued a far-reaching executive order this month halting aid. Among other criticisms, the order claimed, without providing evidence, that South Africa was reinvigorating its relations with Iran to develop commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. Pretoria has no bilateral cooperation with Iran on nuclear power or any nuclear-related technology, the presidency said. A U.S. State Department spokesperson did not comment on the possibility of Iran or Russia helping South Africa expand its civilian, Iran or Russia helping to expand its civilian nuclear capacity. I don't think South Africa give a damn or care two hoots what the US want to do. They're a part of BRICS. They're good. They're keeping it moving. So long, farewell until
We're gonna sanction them.
Why does that sound like the pact for the continuation of colonization that France signed with some of these African states? You're telling me they what? So the West have the right of first refusal? You're telling me you cannot even take a bid from have an open bid for anybody to bid? No, man.
So long, farewell until we meet again.
Mr. President would need to come to our school of re-education. He's thinking this freedom thing is getting into his head. We sell cars, and if you must buy cars, you buy cars from us first. And even when we don't have said cars, we'll get you the car for a fee. So South Africa better do what South Africa needs to do, which is speak to us first before calling anybody else. So, are you?
Scientists discovered one of the largest blood manganese reserves in the ocean, dozens of tons soon to be extracted. What do we need blood manganese for? I'm sorry. The inquiring minds aspect of me, side of me, wants to know. What do we use it for? Hold on. Paste. Let's get into this one. A manganese blood. Hold on. No, that may talk about the actual thing. Hold on a second. Oh boy. Blood manganese. That's a stone. I guess it's a rare metal. I guess. All right. Let me go ahead and read the article. I might learn something here. All right. So according to dailygalaxy.com, a staggering discovery beneath the Pacific Ocean could shift the global supply of high-tech materials. Okay, so it's a high-tech material. Researchers from the University of Tokyo and the Nippon Foundation have identified a 230 million ton deposit. You know something? I want to stop right here for a second. I don't work with the Dali 1 minute. When they tell you they have found an oil reserve and it is so many tons or so many gallons or so many barrels. Now in this case, them identify a rare metal deposit. How do they know how much it weighs? Which scale they put it on? They've not extracted it yet. How do you measure it? How do you know? Is this just an assumption?
No, it's not. It's physics. Basically, size. You weigh, you measure an area, and you've got what do you call it? You've got all these survey materials that can tell you depth to which something goes. And once you close down that area, you basically know what you're looking at. It's cubic feet and stuff like that. So you know what's in there, and you do your maths, and you come up with a ballpark figure of what it is you're playing with. Yeah. So I mean, give or take, you'll be off by a couple of meters, but that won't make a difference in the grand scheme of things, because in the course of production, you are going to waste. So you might not get 250, you might get 235. So, and in the material terms, that's still the kind of losses you can still make that won't really make a difference. Are you?
All right, thank you. You see, thank you. That's why it's good to rub shoulders with the educated folks. What you lack in knowledge, another one can school you on. So yeah, I've always wanted that. Don't laugh at me, Adesoji. So the Nippon researchers from the University of Tokyo and the Nippon Foundation have identified a 230 million ton deposit of rare materials, including cobalt and nickel. And this is near the Minamotori Island, a remote Japanese territory. This groundbreaking find, which was announced on June 21, could redefine Japan's economic and industrial future, strengthening its position in the global technology race. The discovery comes at a time when geopolitical tensions over critical minerals are increasing as countries race to secure supplies of rare earth elements and battery metals. Japan's deep-sea mining efforts could offer a strategic advantage, reducing reliance on imports and bolstering its domestic industries. All right. And our final story in our international news segment: why are white South Africans mocking Donald Trump? Why would they do such a thing? Let's go ahead and take a listen to this one, courtesy of AlJazeera.com. Let's hear what they say.
South Africa is known as the Rainbow Nation, but apparently one group in this diversity diagram is fighting for its very survival: white South Africans. Specifically, Afrikaners. President Donald Trump has offered them asylum in the US.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
This news caught some people by surprise, including many of those white South Africans themselves.
A day in my life as an oppressed white South African. I wake up in my shelter and my husband brings me coffee because it's too dangerous to go alone. I then need to wash, so I have a dip in our pool which is used for bathing and drinking as we have no running water. Then I sit down to apply for a job I'm not qualified for and cry when I don't get it.
That's one of thousands of videos from white South Africans mocking their own privilege. So why has Trump offered them asylum? Well, the South African government passed a law to allow it to seize land, like farms, without compensation, but only in exceptional circumstances, like if it's abandoned. About 72% of private land in South Africa is owned by whites. So Donald Trump has accused the South African government of using racism and violence to steal land from white people. He's also suspended all humanitarian aid to the country. So who are these Afrikaners in peril? They're descendants of mainly Dutch colonialists who, among their achievements, introduced slavery to South Africa and in 1948 made apartheid the formal government policy. Despite owning most of the country's private land, they only make up 7% of the population. And they were able to acquire so much territory because 8 decades of racist laws banned non-whites from owning land in about 93% of the country. That was until the collapse of apartheid. Since 1994, the government's tried to undo this historic inequality. It's also compensated black owners whose farms were confiscated, and it's also bought thousands of properties from anyone willing to sell to redistribute. So where did Trump get the idea that Afrikaners needed saving? Was it from the world's richest man, South Africa's Elon Musk, standing next to him? Actually, probably not. Although Musk is involved in his own war against South Africa's employment laws, this predates him. For years, Afrikaner rights groups have lobbied foreign governments for support, saying that Black South Africa has a plan to wipe them out. It's also important to note that a leading US civil rights organization describes AfriForum's leaders as white supremacists in suits and ties. So, is anyone going to take up Trump on his refugee offer? Here's more from the internet.
USA,
USA, USA. Hey, dude. What's up? I'm moving to the USA, bro. Okay, why? Because I just got refugee status, son. And why did you get refugee status? Because I'm white, bro.
While most Afrikaners seem to have dismissed the offer, others, like the people at this rally in Pretoria, seem thankful someone has finally noticed their plight.
Mr. Trump, thank you so much.
And in a country where a black household has only 5% of the average wealth of a white family, you do the math.
Oh boy. You see, that is the part they're very fearful of, that the tables may one day be turned on them. Let's be honest. That's their biggest fear. That God forbid what their ancestors did to the ancestors, the indigenous people of South Africa. They fear that the South Africans will rise up and do the very thing to them. Ain't that funny? We don't have a problem doling out, but we have a problem if it's reciprocated. You know the saying, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you? It's a real thing, you know. It's a real thing. You can't want people to treat you good, but you don't treat people good. And one thing I will tell, I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a positive trait. I really don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes I do question certain things, right? We're a very forgiving people. Yeah, we are a very forgiving people. And humor me for a second. And I'm okay with sounding like me have no common sense and me no stop and think. But I question a lot of things. When I hear, I'm confused. Let me put it this way. I'm confused, and I'm not ashamed to say so. When I hear people, or it's being championed that all races come from Black people, and I hear that the only reason we have these different races or the different colors, put it that way, is because people moved away from the equator and went up into these cold places. So moving into these cold places straighten the nose and lighten the skin and change the texture of the hair. I call BS on that. I'm sorry, I call BS on it. If we are the origins of existence, yes, John, I call BS on it. If we are the originators of existence, of human beings, how is it that when people move from the equator to these cold countries, they remain the same in 2025? What stopped changing within them? Why is it that two of them look the same, the picnic come out look just like them? Why? Because now that they're in a Nordic place, or a very cold place, the picnic come out with straighter hair, straighter nose, different color eyes. That's why, I'm sorry, certain things I have a hard time acknowledging, and it's okay. I'll stand alone on my island. If we are the originators of humankind, well, you know what? Let me stop right there. So I'm gonna stop right there. That's not everything good for talk. But I don't know. I have a problem with the buying that all races come from us. I really do, because of how all other races treat us. Is that question reasonable, or is that thought process reasonable? I have a struggle accepting that all races come from us when all races treat us the way they do. Go ahead, Ja. So the emoji.
I have nothing to add. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe.
Just question things. And here's the thing. I'm so confused too when I listen to different documentaries, and they seem to be conflicting. They seem to be conflicting, and it's confusing the life out of me. It is confusing because we say that they come from. I saw the most recent video I saw was from a South African gentleman, The essence of it is Caucasians, they're Neanderthals, and they come from the mountains of Caucasus, and that was his thing. And they're animals, you know, they're savages, and they're this and they're that. So I said to myself when I heard him, I'm like, but hold on a second. Didn't we say that all humanity come from us? So explain that, Ja. If all humanity come from us, is it that they didn't come from us then? I don't understand it. I'm confused. And until somebody can explain it to me in a way for me understand everything, when you can call me dunce, ignorant, fool, anything you want to call me. Not here. But it's just not making sense to me. Do I believe God created all of us? Yes. He created us all in his image. And that's why, and I think when I go back to the Bible, that is why I kind of struggle, I guess, with accepting that all races come from us. I mean, forgive me. And I know biology and science and research and all that is showing us something else. But the Bible says he created us all in his image. So he created some, but not some. I don't know. Some were created because of where they moved to geographically. I don't know. One of my struggles, and I'm okay with standing on my island alone. But back to this article. Why are South Africans mocking Donald Trump? Some of them are letting you know the truth. What's really going on at the base of this is Elon Musk. I'm not sure what Elon Musk's agenda is, why he is stirring the pot. Because the truth is, if you're not qualified for a position, regardless of what you look like, should you get that position? In really and truly. What is is Trump listening to the terms and conditions of the land deal, so to speak? No, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. And that's a problem. Nobody's listening. He's just being fed. It's as though he's surrounded by people who just tell him things and he just accepts. So you can feed him a bunch of lies and he takes it and runs with it. Does he fact check anything for himself? You're going with him to South Africa. Well, offer the people refugee status. Does he know the history of South Africa and what happened there? That South Africa was invaded, that the people were enslaved, that apartheid was a part of is a part of their history, and the remnants of it are still relevant today. South Africa has a whites-only town, and nobody not trouble them. And all the government is saying is, if you have the land, and you can tell me if I'm not listening either, I'm okay with that. But what I'm hearing, article after article after article, is that there is land that is not being used. It's abandoned land. That is the land that they're wanting to take and give to people who need it. Give it to the indigenous people of South Africa. Let's say, just mind your business, yeah. Let me keep it moving.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, probably Donald Trump, somebody needs to give him a history lesson, because remember, like, America was one of the last countries that came and against apartheid, right? After everybody else said, no, this is wrong. They were one of the last countries. So this just is not a good image of the US, right? It's not a good look that, they were one of the last countries when Black people were being abused in South Africa. And now they are trying to defend a minority that control the wealth of the entire country that, receive most of those wealth from apartheid. So it just don't look good. I'm sure still to that one day.
Yeah. We have enough going on here. We have enough issues here. And at the same time, while you're ending TPS for people here, people who are here legally under the TPS program, you're going to bring other groups of people from other nations. You're going to bring in South Africans, other nationalities into our country under the same program. But, we don't need to dig any deeper into that. And that story ends our stories on the international scene. For more stories out in international news, please head on over to coffeeinto.com. And when you get there, go to the tab that says there's more. And we have more stories for you. And we'll be updating because we have a ton of stories. We have so many news items from around the world that we're not able to cover during our program. And we put the links there for you to check them out. And we'll be updating daily. All right. So head on over to coffeeinto.com to take a look at the stories that we were not able to cover on the live show. And I want to say thank you to everyone listening on qmzradio.com, janoradio.com, madmusichouse.com, and everyone watching or just listening on the YouTube channel for Coffee Into. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And thank you to those who have left some comments. We have some comments there, interesting comments, I should say. So I want to say thank you so much for your engagement and helping Coffee Into to grow. Also want to invite you to, while you are on coffeeinto.com, just click on the shop tab and you can click on lormelskinfood.com to place your order for 100% all natural organic products for your skin and for your hair for a natural, beautiful you. It is lormelskinfood.com. We also have the link to grantcoffeehouse.com where you can shop today and get 20% off all coffee products. Just use the code coffeeinto20 again for 20% off all coffee products on grantcoffeehouse.com. Use the code coffeeinto20 at checkout. And there's another tab I want you to look at as well. We have a new tab. It is called Subscribe. And there we have the YouTube channels. There's a link for the YouTube channels for all our supporters. We invite you to click on the links and subscribe to every single one of them. Yeah, Adesoji Speaks Knowledge, Carib 21 Network, Lormel Skin Food, Mad Libra, Naturalist Entertainment, PWG Lens, Phoenix Media, and Teflon Travels. All right. So again, hit the subscribe tab and click on each of the links, to the YouTube channels and subscribe. And one more thing I want to tell you about our resources tab, where you can go to get information related to health, working remotely in Barbados, the Heart NSTA Trust in Jamaica, information about the Department of State, Jamaica's travel.gov site. We also have some resources there for the Caribbean Future Skills Fund, which is a collaboration between Canada and CARICOM. There are applications available for the Caribbean Canada Leaders Dialogue for 2025. Applications for the program close on March 1, so you still have some time to take advantage of that opportunity. The link is there. Click on it, check it out, and you can submit your application via the link. Again, Caribbean Canada Leaders Dialogue 2025. And there is another program. It is the 2025 Global Career Scholarship. Applications are available and the deadline for submission is March 7th. So the link is there. You can go ahead, click the link to subscribe. All right. Share the information with anyone who may be able to benefit, if not you yourself. Spread the word. All right. So Coffee Into, the website, we're continuing to make it a more resourceful place, so to speak, where you can go to access information, call it a learning center, so to speak. All right. And again, you can subscribe to our supporters. All right. So thank you for that. Fan base family, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate your participation, your engaging, and your support. All right, time for stories out of North America. Starting off in Canada. Canada, you have some questions to answer. Canada loses track of 20,000 Indian students, raising visa fraud concerns. What's up, Canada? That's a no-no. How you feel lose the people then? Well, according to e.vn express.net, nearly 50,000 foreign students failed to enroll at their designated institutions after arriving in Canada in March and April last year, with the majority being Indian nationals. According to a recent report by the Globe and Mail citing data from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, these missing students accounted for 6.9% of the 717,539 international students tracked at the time. In contrast, 644,349 students, or 89.8%, were confirmed to be compliant, while the enrollment status of 23,514 remained unrecorded. Indian students made up the largest portion of those who did not enroll, totaling 19,582. Chinese students ranked second with 4,279 cases, followed by 3,902 Nigerian students and 2,712 Ghanaian students. While many of these missing, quote unquote, missing students are believed to be working low paying jobs to sustain themselves, others have fallen victim to fraudulent educational institutions rather. A Times of India report highlighted the case of a 24-year-old Indian student who arrived in Canada believing he had been admitted to a prestigious university in Brampton. Upon arrival, he discovered the so-called university was nothing more than a small office with no classrooms. School representatives told him classes were full and asked him to wait. He later realized it was a scam. But fortunately, he had only paid 420,000 rupees, or 4,800 US, of the 1.2 million rupees in tuition fees. His education consultancy firm in India had only communicated with him by phone before his departure, assuring him he could cover the remaining fees through part-time work. With no alternative, he took a job at a local gas station to support himself. Meanwhile, others have deliberately taken advantage of loopholes in Canada's student visa system. So, I have a question. I don't know how it works, so I have a question. When you apply for a student visa to go to a country, right? So for, let's say Canada in this case here, the immigration officer, them don't check the validity, the existence of this particular school. They don't do a double check to make sure the school actually exists before granting said visa to someone. Or, oh, person want to go to school, yeah, we just give them the visas, just so it go. I don't know. Anybody able to enlighten me as to how it works? Because I don't understand. This is not making any sense to me. None whatsoever. I'm sorry. Follow me, whatever. But I thought immigration representatives would do a thorough check. Go right ahead, Jay. Go right
Yeah.
ahead.
Yes, so most people are accusing the government to be a part of the scam, right? Because when during the pandemic, a lot of people did not return to some of the jobs, in particular hotel jobs and some of the other jobs that, and there's like vaccine mandate that a lot of people lost their jobs and people didn't want to go back to work because of the vaccine mandate. So what they're doing, they're accusing the government of bringing in, because since under Trudeau administration, they're bringing, I think it came out yesterday, something like 1.3 million people from India alone under his administration. So yeah, they are being accused of that, and they caught something like 70 or 80,000 going across the U.S. border. Indian nationals going across the U.S. border. So yeah, it's a mess. And then now Trudeau and the Indian government in some conflict. So now back and forth, and then they're trying to push out Indian students because of the back and forth between them and the Indian government. So it's a mess with Trudeau and yeah, it is just a big mess.
Yeah, but James, what is the process for someone wanting an international student wanting to study in Canada? What is the process for immigration? They don't have a thorough a check system. Go ahead, Prof. Go ahead.
Yeah, they do. They do have a check
Oh,
system.
sorry, mistake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, what I'm saying, they do have a check system, but so that's why people are accusing the government that they are a part of this scam because
Okay, all right. Allow me slow.
the Indian government are accusing them because a report came out this week to the Indian government accusing the Canadian government of bringing all these Indian students here. Pretty much the Indian government they're accusing the Canadian government of scamming the Indian students because a lot of them spend a lot of money to come to Canada, and then now they're left stranded because of this whole immigration thing, and now they're revoking student visas. The Canadian, one of the minister came out and advised the colleges to stop taking students from India and to look other places for students. So there's an ongoing back and forth now between the government of India and the government of Canada now. So it's a mess.
Mm. They need to tighten up. They need to plug the holes, because if someone is coming over on a student permit, they have to enroll in school. You have to be able to track them. The school should be sending a report over to the immigration system to let them know, yes, these students have shown up, they are attending, and there should be a system where every month a report is sent over to the immigration officials that attendance is consistent. Something. I mean, I don't think it's a hard fix. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think
Yeah, no, but yeah, but that's why That's why I'm saying, like, most people will agree that it's a scam because, okay, so I've been here 15 years now. When I came here, the landscape looked different from what it is now. You can't go to a Tim Hortons without seeing an Indian now. Like all Indians, like Indians at Tim Hortons, Indians at McDonald's, Burger King, everywhere you go. Like when my daughter was in high school, she could have gotten a job at McDonald's and Burger King. No, students can't get these jobs anymore. So most of the students that come on student visas did not come to go to school. They come to take up these jobs, and they're underpaid. Like they're jobs that the minimum wage is like 14 something an hour. And if you ask some of these Indian that came to be student but end up working, they're getting like $10 an hour. You know, so they're getting like $4 less than minimum wage. So it's a mess. So that's why, yeah, it's and the government of India is telling them to come back home because, you know, it's a big thing going on between Canada and India right now. And then now what, Nigeria? I think Nigeria, the Nigerian government and Trudeau, like everybody is after Trudeau right now. So it's a mess.
Oh, hi.
Go ahead, Prof. Go ahead.
Yeah, James is right. It is a mess, but I don't think it's totally. As you said it, when I came here, yeah, there are fewer Indian people, but then Trudeau did open up the immigration to a lot of foreigners, and then they have immigration consultants in India who are taking a lot of money from these Indians because it was easy. I guess all the Indian people that do was show that they had money in their bank accounts, which a lot of them did, but it was borrowed money from people in India. And like you said, they didn't check to make sure the schools are legitimate. So a lot of people came in with false stuff to go to school because it was easy, and they thought they could get jobs in the West and all that. So because the system was let loose too much, and they did abuse it a bit. And then because people are you know, a lot of them that come here aren't really poor. They come with money. They're buying up houses, drive up house prices and stuff like that. So people are crying out about that. So now Trudeau is cracking down on the system because they did let it go too long, let it go too loosely, and they're flooding the country. And maybe that's why there's a backlash against the Indians here.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, James. Thank you, Prof. Appreciate the input. All right. Next up, Donald Trump says Zelensky should have never started war with Russia. I think we had if you want to say we tied in this conversation or we addressed this, but you know the article is here. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Courtesy of thehill.com. President Trump on Tuesday appeared to blame Ukraine's leaders for the 3-year war with Russia, arguing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky should never have started it. Russia, of course, as we know, launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 after massing troops on the border and demanding a ban on Ukraine ever joining the NATO alliance. The invasion took place nearly a decade after Russia took over Crimea from Ukraine in 2014. Trump vowed to end the war during his presidential campaign and on Tuesday repeated his claim that the war would never have started if he had been president. He spoke after US and Russian officials met in Saudi Arabia without Ukrainian officials. I think I have the power to end this war, and I think it's going very well, Trump told reporters at Mar-a-Lago on the heels of the meeting. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years, Trump continued, referring to Ukraine. You should have ended it in 3 years. You should never have started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, and no one would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. He always seems to have the answers, doesn't he? He can do everything, right? He can do all things. He really sees himself as a god. What can I say? Trump went on to rail against former President Biden as so pathetic before again criticizing Zelensky. Look, you have leadership, and I like him personally. He's fine. But I don't care about personally. I care about getting the job done. You have leadership now that's allowed a war to go on that should never have even happened, even without the United States. Oh boy, whatever. After claiming remote workers are actually golfing, Trump again hits the links in Florida. Everybody is to be in the office, but I can be on the golf course. Don't worry. According to CNN, as President Donald Trump orders federal workers to return to the office, he spent the 4th straight day at home here at his Mar-a-Lago resort. The president arrived at the Trump International Golf Course on Tuesday morning just before 10 a.m. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, folks. Okay. So, as President Donald Trump orders federal workers to return to the office, he spent the 4th straight day at home here at his Mar-a-Lago resort. The president arrived at the Trump International Golf Course on Tuesday morning, just before 10 a.m. Eastern, following a routine he's kept nearly every day during an extended President's Day weekend to visit sunny South Florida. He returned to Mar-a-Lago about 4 hours later. He left the White House early Friday afternoon and is set to return Wednesday night after delivering a speech to an investment conference in Miami. No matter where they travel, all presidents are accompanied by the trappings of office, so Trump's frequent visits to Florida are hardly unusual during his first month back in power. But his trip home stands in stark contrast to his strident view against remote work, which is a centerpiece of his efforts to reduce the size of the federal workforce. As he signed an executive order last week in the Oval Office, as mass layoffs were reported in agencies across the government, he made clear that he believes federal workers are scamming the system by working remotely. Isn't that interesting? I don't know, so color me slow. Is the president considered a federal worker? I don't want to assume. Is the president considered a federal worker? And everyone attached to him as he is working from Mar-a-Lago, are they federal workers too? I don't know. I think we should lead by example. This is me personally. I believe in rolling up my sleeves and being in the trenches with you, not because I'm your supervisor, your manager, your ED, your executive director, your CEO. I believe in teamwork. Yeah. I'm leading by example, right? I don't know. I mean, what do I know? The Department of Homeland Security is preparing for hundreds of senior leaders to fire, excuse me, hundreds of senior leaders this week. Are we firing them to rehire them? Let me ask a question. I don't have any information on this either. Do we have an update regarding the folks that were fired over the weekend, the ones who work at the nuclear facilities? Have they been rehired yet? Were they able to get, contact them? Are they being rehired at the same pay, or yesterday's price is not today's price, meaning it could go up or it could go down? I don't know. Same thing with what's the latest group here? These health people that were fired. Now you realize you need them. And then you can't get in touch with them either. What's up? Okay. And okay, what's up with that? I just need an update. Have these people got their jobs back? And I know you're not seeing me on YouTube. I don't know what just happened. I know I'm still live on YouTube. You're just not seeing anything on YouTube right now. It will come back shortly. The video portion will come back. I don't know if somebody can let me know if there is audio on YouTube. It's telling me here there is audio, and I just know visual. Let me know in the chat if you're able to check that for me. Thank you for the time check, Ja. Thank you for the time check. Okay, yeah. It's saying here loading. I'm not sure what's going on. All right, keep it moving. So, Department of Homeland Security preparing to fire hundreds of senior leaders this week. This article is courtesy of CNBC.com. The Trump administration is preparing to fire hundreds of high-level Department of Homeland Security employees this week as part of a move to rid the country's third largest agency of people deemed to be misaligned. Thank you, Ja. Thank you. Deemed to be misaligned with the administration's goals, according to three sources familiar with the matter. The sources said the Trump administration has a centralized plan and a list of people in high-level positions across every component of DHS who are to be targeted this week. The firings will come on top of hundreds of more general cuts that began across DHS on Friday night, which targeted the Federal Emergency Management Agency, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Hold on a second. Cybersecurity and infrastructure. So we're just being left open to anybody. No, sir. Okay. Those firings were the latest in a government-wide effort to reduce the federal workforce. This week, the three sources told NBC News career employees at high managerial levels, namely senior executive service and general Schedule 15 employees, may be removed from agencies across DHS, not to reduce the size of the workforce, but to remove employees whom the administration sees as potentially standing in the way of goals the Trump administration has for the agency. Okay, I got it. So, in other words, the only way you can do that is to ask them who they support and if they support Trump. Yeah, that's the only way. And if they say no, bye, goodbye, you're out, you're out, bye. So what if everybody just says, yes, we support Trump, yes, we voted for Trump, yes, we love Trump? Then they get to stay? How will this work? DHS, which includes Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is the primary agency tasked with enforcing U.S. immigration law. Trump has relied heavily on CBP to secure the southwest border and on ICE to ramp up arrests and deportations of undocumented immigrants living in the United States. Moving right along. Chutkan refuses to block Musk Doge from seven federal agencies. I wonder why. Inquiring minds want to know. All right, I'm not sure what's going on. I thank you, Jeff, for letting me know that we have audio on YouTube. We just don't have visual. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on, why we have lost the visual, but I apologize. I sincerely apologize for that. Yeah. Not sure what's going on, but we'll keep it moving nonetheless, as long as you can hear me. That is what matters. So, according to The Hill, U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan on Tuesday refused the request of 14 Democratic state attorneys general to immediately impose wide-ranging restrictions on Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. The coalition of states led by New Mexico claims Musk's far-reaching role heading DOGE is unconstitutional since he was not confirmed by the Senate. And the states sought to block DOGE from accessing 7 federal agencies. Chutkan refused their demand to do so at the current stage of the case, saying they had not made the necessary showing of irreparable harm. Hold on a second. Was I dreaming? But I'm sure I saw art stories, news items that members of the Doge team had leaked information. No? Okay. Isn't there something even more recent as up to yesterday that even though they're supposed to be programmers, they have an issue understanding how cobalt works, and as such, they misinformed the head of Doge, saying that people who were 150 years old were still getting Social Security benefits? Isn't that considered irreparable, the spread of misinformation? Leaking sensitive data, sensitive information, that's not considered irreparable. Who is Tanya Chutkan? I don't know who she is. Let me look her up. I need to know who Tanya Chutkan is. What is her purpose? Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm hung right there. I need to know Judge Tanya. Okay, here she is. Oh, interesting. That's her. Okay. Okay, interesting. Tanya. Tanya is making sure she doesn't lose her American status. I got you, girl. I see what you're doing. I see it. She's Jamaican. Born in Kingston, Jamaica. get it, you know? Yeah. Tanya, really? Why? Yeah, she says they have not shown any irreparable harm. So I guess the harm that they have done can be repaired, is what she's saying. Yeah. Plaintiffs legitimately call into question what appears to be the unchecked authority of an unelected individual and an entity that was not created by Congress and over which it has no oversight. In these circumstances, it must be indisputable that this court acts within the bounds of its authority. Accordingly, it cannot issue a TRO, which is a temporary restraining order, especially one as wide ranging as plaintiffs request, without clear evidence of imminent irreparable harm to these plaintiffs. The current record does not meet that standard. However, in a footnote, the judge suggested that the Justice Department may have stretched the truth in court filings regarding the breadth of Doge's power over personnel issues. Interesting. All right, Tanya. And we can squeeze this one in before we have to wrap up our live on-air internet radio stream. Top geophysicist Neil Fenglin leaves U.S. for prestigious China role. I'm laughing at this one because I saw a video where I forgot who it was complaining that we are educating foreign nationals only for them to take their expertise back to their countries. What do you want, US? What do you want? Do you want foreign nationals or you don't want foreign nationals? You want immigrants or you don't want immigrants? Make your minds up. Well, award-winning seismologist and prolific researcher departs Texas after 22 years. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. After 22 years, during which he carried out pioneering work on earthquake prediction. What did they do to you, my friend Fenglin? Why are you leaving for a prestigious role in China? Huh? Come on, we need you here. You know, when everybody leaves, what are we gonna do here in the US? I don't know. According to scmp.com, after more than 2 decades of distinguished work in the United States, geophysicist Neil Fenglin has returned to China to join Earth and Space Sciences School at the University of Science and Technology of China. The award-winning scientist left his full professorship at Rice University over there in your city, in Houston, Texas, where he had worked since 2002 in November, according to the USTC website. He is the third person to be awarded the Distinguished Chair Professorship at USTC, one of China's top universities located in the southeastern province of Anhui. All right. Congratulations. Let me give him a round of applause. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite, right? No, I'm not. He wants to go, let him go, because immigrants are not welcomed here, are not appreciated here. Sorry, US, we have to do better. We have to do better. And it is time for us to end our on-air internet radio stream. We will continue on YouTube Live, and I do apologize that there is no video right now on YouTube. I do apologize for that. I'm not sure what's going on with our streaming platform, why this is the case. But I invite everyone listening on QMZradio.com, JanoRadio.com, and MadMusicHouse.com to hop on over to YouTube, or you can head on over to coffeeinto.com and watch the live show, or listen, in this case, listen to the live show. So I want to say thank you to everyone listening online once again. Thank you for tuning in. And we will be back with you tomorrow morning, God willing, at 9 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and Subscribe to the YouTube channel when you come on over. Don't forget to do that. Do those few things. All right. So this is where the internet radio live stream comes to an end. To our online listeners, enjoy the rest of your day and thank you for tuning in. And I am still with you, YouTube Live and fan base. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, money. You think money is the thing? I see Ja put on YouTube here that money could be a driving factor. It could be, but I don't know. I think it's more than that. I think he sees that he's able to improve his country. He'll help propel the growth of his country through education. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that narrative. That's what I'm gonna hold on to. All right. Next up, it is time for business and tech news. And our business and tech news is brought to you by Grant. Hold on a second before we get there. Okay, no, we don't have any updates, don't have any TikTok talk today. Business and tech news brought to you by Grant Coffee House. Head on over to grantcoffeehouse.com so that you can use the code CoffeeInto20 at checkout and enjoy 20% off all coffee products. Again, head on over to grantcoffeehouse.com, use the code CoffeeInto and enjoy 20% off all coffee products. I'm going to do a real quick test here. I'm going to run the promo for Coffee Into to see if it will force the video the visual to come back on YouTube. So bear with me 1 second. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grant Coffee House. We have an issue with our camera on this side. Let me know, please. And thank you. Thank you for your patience, fan base. Oops. Okay, so all right, let me go to comments. The video is black. Okay, so you were not okay. Mad Libran is saying the video is black. Were you able to see the video for Grant Coffee House? I know the camera on me is black, but it's the Grant Coffee House video that was okay. So just says I saw the commercial. So something is off with the cameras here then. Wonder what happened. Well, that's good. That's a go. So I'm not sure why we lost hold on 1 second. I'm gonna do a quick check on something, folks. I can't do that. Okay. I can't check that while I'm live. I have to wait. It's the I can't unplug it. I can't unplug it because it's the camera from the computer. It's not a separate device. It's the computer's camera that's being used. Yes. So Coffee in Tow is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real-time news updates, in-depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go-to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House.